Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
You're watching a Fact TV presentation of the Town of Brookline Select Board Meeting.
Tonight's meeting to order. It's June 21st, 2023. The time the meeting is called to order is 6:35. Present in the room are Select Board members Samara Sulik, Stan Noga, Bruce Mello, and myself, Dot Maggio. Recording clerk Vanessa Ballou, and scheduled members of the public in person is Leanne Parker. And we do expect, I got a confirmation tonight that Henry Carr is going to come aboard and talk to us about knotweed. So we may have to move that around a little bit. Okay, any changes to the agenda at this time?
Yes,
Bruce Mello, what is your change?
I'd like to add a discussion of ARPA under new business.
Discussion of ARPA under new business.
And
Okay, GH. Hang on.
I'm sorry, I think I went out of order.
HI ARPA, okay.
And just before that, we have 8C. Can we move the survey to just before that?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Okay. I went out of turn a little bit. I apologize. Rather than doing the ARPA first, so
Doing the ARPA at the end of new business.
that's fine.
Correct.
Just before that, I would like to do the survey for the meeting house, just before that, which is 8C.
You want to do the meeting house survey
Yeah.
in new business?
Oh, I can't put it on the new business. Yes, it is new business. It's new business.
It's unfinished.
Unfinished business?
8C is Energy Committee report.
8 o'clock, number 7C is VMH survey, question and answer, if any. That's what
Yeah.
you want to have,
Yeah.
and you want to talk about that under new business.
Yes,
Well, I'm fine.
great.
And Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, under the, oh yeah, I see it. We're not changing 8C.
He wants to move it earlier into the meeting.
Okay, and where's getting them to?
He's moving it to 6,
I think it's really 7C under the time of 8 o'clock.
that's where it is now, but Bruce wants it to be the first item of unfinished business,
Okay,
correct?
I guess, I just want to,
Wait,
the first time I want to finish business, wait a minute. I
now
apologize.
I'm really confused.
No,
I'll call the sections. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
We're going to talk about ARPA at the end of talking about the new things mitigation, and you want to talk about ARPA. Then we go into unfinished business, and the first unfinished business will be the BMH survey.
yeah, I kind of wanted it before that. I wanted it to
You
go,
want me here? Is that why you're
Yes,
trying to change it?
I want you to hear it.
Me?
I wanted to move it up into the new business section earlier in the meeting, up to about 7:15, somewhere in there.
We can't really just move it around the time.
This has
Let's
been,
just get
this has
started.
been in existence for 2 days at least.
Let's just
I-
get started. As long as the application, yeah, let's just move along. This is a lot of detail and it rests like it's all day.
Okay, could we close the text window on the screen? Because it's just whatever is being said. Oh,
Just click.
and, okay, I believe it's Henry Carr there. Very good. All right, at this point, we're going to go to members of the public. So we have a 10-minute scheduled discussion. Mr. Henry Carr, Part 3 and 10. Welcome, Henry. You are one of our preferred vendors here in Brookline. You've done a lot of work for us. And when we crossed the situation with knotweed, I went online and I found a Vermont invasive plant control contractors, and you were glad to see you there. And that's why we reached out to you. So we have knotweed. What can you tell us about this lovely plant in town? What should we know?
It's one of the tougher invasive species to control, but it is completely possible to control it. I've been treating invasives for about 10 years, and there's several different options for knotweed, but it's definitely one of the tougher ones to control and requires repeat treatments.
Repeat treatments?
Yeah.
What kind of treatments, chemical or physical? Because there were some questions about smothering it, putting tarps on it, chopping it up. What do you, so we'd like to hear you for 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I've been to a lot of workshops and talks and stuff on alternative treatments for invasives in general. I feel like a lot of the alternative methods are not very effective on knotweed. The only one that I think would be chopping it down and then covering it in black plastic. But that's depending on the size areas we're talking about, that's very labor intensive. And I can tell you that the chemical control is very effective. Usually takes 2 or 3 years to really gain control.
Really?
Yeah, because the thing is, if you just spray it once and then that's it, then it just comes back. And the other thing to consider, which I'm sure this will come up, is a lot of times knotweed grows near the river. And there are herbicides that are approved for wetland areas. The issue with just using regular herbicides near wetland areas is the surfactants in them are very harmful for animals, fish. So basically they have herbicide products that do not contain surfactant that are labeled for use in or near wetland areas. And then we add our own. We have what's called non-ionic surfactant that we add in ourselves.
Nice, a question. Hi, Henry. I'm Samara on the select board. I wondered, in our town, it is pervasive, and a lot of it is largely along waterways that all feed into the West River. Grassy Brook feeds into the West River. Now, I have someone told me that U.S. Fish and Wildlife is very concerned about the West River watershed. Are you aware of any funding sources for remediation of this, for trying to get rid of knotweed? Have you heard anything about that?
I'm not aware of that off the top of my head, but I know that there is a lot of federal funding for invasive plant control in general. I know NRCS, which is through USDA, I know they do a lot of that.
Oh, NRCS. Okay, I know who they are.
Yeah.
That would be what I would study, because it's the other thing I wondered about was in terms of the remediation is if we have knotweed like it's in big patches along the river. So I'm wondering if we treat one specific area, is it even going to be effective? Should the knotweed be tackled sort of in as many possible areas in town as possible? Because it seems to me it spreads really readily through rhizomes. And so
yeah,
if you cut it down in one place, is it gonna like pop up somewhere else? Or if you take it down in one place and you don't take it down further upstream or downstream or whichever way you need to take it out, will it just spread back? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good point that you raise. And it's probably the most frustrating thing about trying to control any type of invasive plants is that you're never going to get rid of them completely everywhere. And so basically, yeah, you can control individual areas, and then it's just going to come back in from elsewhere. And I think that's one of the hardest things. That's one of the hardest parts about it, I think, is just that it would be pretty hard to get all of it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking you were going to say.
But the problem is, though, that if you don't treat any of it, then it's just going to basically spread unchecked. And as bad as it is right now, it has the ability, as you said, it spreads very, very effectively. And as bad as it is right now, it has the potential to get many times worse.
Right. Next question. When would be like the most optimum time to try and, get rid of knotweed? Like in the spring, in the fall, is there an optimum time?
Really, you could treat it anytime during the growing season, but if we're talking about chemical control, the best time to do that would be summer or early fall.
Okay.
I think the best way to think about it is like in the spring, the flow in plants and trees and stuff is mostly going upward. And then as we get closer to winter, the generally speaking, the plant is flowing more down into the roots to store energy and prepare for winter. And so most of your herbicides are not going to be that effective in the spring because they need to be translocated down into the roots to work. And so so we usually recommend summer or early fall.
Okay, cool.
Is the spread mostly through seeds or through rhizomes? Or is it
knotweed is tough because it basically spreads like wildfire because it spreads through all of those things. Animals, birds spread it. It's extremely, extremely effective at spreading.
So have you done treatments in the area yourself in Newfane or in the local areas that has been successful in the past?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So what about, if he would be willing to give us a cost estimate or would come out?
Well, you know what, we're going to be working on our budget in the next couple of months for the following year. And so obviously this is a cost that we might need to incorporate into a budgetary line item. Would you be up to being contacted to come out and do some site inspections and then formulate possibly a
rough estimate,
an estimate for us, what we will be looking at? So so I'd reach out to you again and work with Mark Bills and whomever and take a look. I just wanted to notice that it says Peter. Is that Peter Meyer?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Peter. So I'm glad you came today. I wanted to get our recording clerk to get your name. It's Peter Meyer. He's also visiting, and he brought up the knotweed issue at the ball field and his concern. And so I'm glad that he's here. Sam?
Yeah, Peter, while you're on, what is your desire in terms of a time frame for the dilemma? I know you've emailed it and it's obvious it's right across the street from you, and there's a concern. You have a wonderful house. It's a good neighborhood, and it's probably not very comforting to look across the street and see it's now pretty much 24 inches high right now. What did you have a desire for an approach and a time frame that would suit your concerns?
I'm not sure exactly. obviously the sooner the better as you go through, up Hill Road, go through Newfane, South Londonderry, you name it, down to Brattleboro. It's really, really prominent. When my kids were small, 20, 15, 20 years ago, I'm not sure the knotweed was there, but now it's working its way across the field. And, I'm not worried about my land at this point, as an adjacent landowner, sure, I guess I am. But if it goes unchecked, that field is not going to be a ball field anymore. It's going to be taken over by the knotweed.
Right.
I understand the chemical approach. I understand that nothing is quick. As far as the field itself is concerned, is it more prudent to go with either cutting it each time just to keep it back toward the brook, or covering it with plastic? I've already got a tarp out there, which I did on my own. I did not do that on behalf of the town. And it's a thick tarp. It's effective, but it's not foolproof. I can see there are plants growing underneath it. I picked up some 6 mil plastic you think is not going to be thick enough.
No. It's pernicious.
Well,
It's tough stuff.
Yeah, I think I think the idea would be then to invite, work with her. Mark Bills would be helpful. Set up a time when Henry can come back to town and take a look and walk around and see what we have, and then address this at a future meeting, because it is something that's going to be a cost to the town. We have nothing budgeted for it in the 23-24 budget, but it would have to be in the 24-25 budget. So we would need this time. And also we may be able to find if there are some funding methods or means out there for this coming out in the state. That would be ideal. We'll have to work with that as well.
In the meantime, in terms of, I know that the UVM Master Gardening Program works with invasive species removal, and it's a question of, we might be able to keep the wolves from coming in anymore, just through some sort of stopgap volunteer measures. But as I've expressed, what I've learned is you have to be careful with the cutting, because if you cut the material and you don't bag it up and remove it, and it goes into the brook and it goes downstream, a 1-inch piece. Correct me if I'm wrong, Henry, but I've been told a very small piece will just spread elsewhere.
Yeah, the cutting spreads it, unfortunately. Sometimes in some situations we'll recommend cutting it, but only after it's been sprayed at least once, because unfortunately, if any little bit of it gets loose, it just spreads it, like you just said.
That's what I thought.
I can tell you that we can get very good control with one application. So like the results as far as stopping the spread and getting it under control, that would be very possible the first application. It's just that it's going to try to come back. So that's why I generally recommend an annual application, 2 or 3 years, and then just wait and see what happens and just monitor it, and then only as needed.
All right, so what we'll do then, I much appreciate your time tonight and giving us a heads up that it is possible to treat this. And I will reach out to you and see if we can come up with a time when you're not too busy, and take a look around town what we have and figure out what kind of budgetary means and time frame that we can set up. All right?
Okay. Yeah, and it might not be, I haven't seen it yet, but it might not be, everything's relative, but it might really not be that expensive. we have some pretty serious spray equipment. We might be able to get it sprayed pretty quickly. But I'm happy to go around with Mark and have a look at all of it and get back to you. And then there's just one other thing I wanted to touch on. You mentioned the field. Were you thinking that the herbicide might kill the grass of the field? Is that what the concern was?
Well, it's, no,
My concern as a individual is that whatever spraying when it rains might leach into the water.
Yeah.
That's why you
And-
use a
and-
wetland approved
Okay,
herbicide.
yeah,
Because, yeah, you do have to. be
okay,
careful
so
with
you're confident, it's proven, tested, that's not an issue in terms
Yeah,
of.
I mean they use it on like federal and state projects in wetland areas. So I mean it's tough with all this stuff because the bulk of the research is funded by the chemical companies. But I can tell you that that's the industry standard product for using around, riparian areas.
Thank you.
yeah, you know what,
Yeah.
I was really excited when I saw the knotweed that died after that frost this
Yeah.
spring, and I was like, yes, it's gone, and no, it came back, but,
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
yeah, no, I was excited to go around with the freezing everything.
Interesting.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time this evening. I'm gonna hold you up and we're gonna move on and I'll be out in touch. Peter, do you have any questions you'd like to ask before we move on?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
All right, so
Thanks.
thank you for bringing that to our attention and Henry, thank you for helping us to approach this head on. I appreciate it.
Yep. No problem. Have a great evening.
It's a riot.
Bye-bye.
He's got the kids. All right.
Little nutters.
The next item of business, Leanne, the chair of the Brookline Meeting House, we have a discussion about the foundation grant project progress and to discuss any work order changes that was requested but not in writing by the vendor. So, let me go to my pages. Oh, that's for something else. Okay, that's. All right, so, Stan was working on the contract for Kerry and sent it to us via email. Stan, you had a couple of questions that you wanted to address, or did you want to, how are we on time, how are we on the timeline that was developed by the.
Okay, so just for a quick summary, we submitted our town insurance, we submitted our W-9. Carrie's insurance has been received and is in good order. I found that today. What we could, I know that we're thinking about adjusting the cost amount based on what Carrie's increase in insurance was, that we agreed to do that.
We didn't agree to do that, but he hasn't said anything to us about it officially. He
Okay,
just mentioned it at a committee meeting.
okay.
It was, yeah,
I'm sorry.
it was discussed. I don't think any agreement was, we hadn't seen the cost or how much it was.
Right, he hasn't said anything.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so what the town, what Caitlin has said is that if there's a change to the RFP total that we had of 29,800 something or other,
29.8, I think.
that we could make that change to the change order. I asked, and then the other piece that she needs from us is some kind of contract with Carrie's signature on it, that I assume is what you're working on, right? So those are the two things. If we wanted to put the insurance increase into the RFP for Carrie for that final total amount of 29 something or other, we can do that to cover Carrie's. But at this point, they gave us $15,000. We're not going to get any more. It's right there. So whatever cost is incurred, it's our cost.
That's right.
So if we wanted to submit the paperwork with the town contract, send that in with Carrie's signature, we're done.
And they won't give us more money, or they would?
They will not.
So
It's
And they're not
15
gonna have,
period.
the ARPA funds is topped off at max of
how
15.
much is the increase in the insurance?
We don't know, we've
We
not
don't
been
know.
asked in writing.
Right.
Okay, and is this a general insurance policy that he keeps, or is it specific to this project?
I don't know whether, I know that he doesn't have insurance until he got this, so whether he's just gotten it for our job or not, I don't know, you would have to find out.
When Mr. Bourne submitted his bid, he submitted it with a certificate of insurance back in May of 20, no, excuse me, this is the one that we just got, back in 9/20/22. But he has changed companies since then.
Right.
And so that's what but he didn't, and has provided two policies, one with the Vermont Agency of Commerce and Community Development, Caitlin Corcoran, and one certificate holder of the town of Brookline.
Right.
Which is what was
Right.
required, the town is insured
Yeah,
and
town
they are
is
insured, correct.
All our workers.
But as far,
Correct.
but he did have a certificate when he put in his bid, and his bid was just pretty much the attaching to the RFP. He said, here's this bid, and here's my insurance, and it was the only bid that night.
Okay.
So that,
So I think that the step is to, are you going to extend a contract to Carrie? And we don't have to do anything to the way things are unless we want to add in the vapor barrier. We can add in the cost for the vapor barrier later. I made a specific call today to say, if we want to try and meet our deadline of the 26th or the 29th of June, can we submit it as it is? And when we work up the deal with the vapor barrier, if we decide to do that, can we submit that later? And she said, fine.
since you're not going to be involved in any like that financial backing of that,
Right.
it may not even have to be part of it, it's just.
Right, well, she wants to
He
know,
wants to have.
she wants to know because it affects all of their record keeping for what they wanna, they have 5 years now since they're giving us this money, where they wanna know if there's any significant change that might affect the building. So we would want to do that, and she would look for it, but it would not hold up, it doesn't need to hold this up in waiting for somebody to give us an estimate of what it's gonna cost, and then changing the RFP, and then, not extending the contract yet.
The email that I read, thank you, by the way, for sending me it and then forwarding me her response, was that she was being flexible with the dates.
Yeah.
She already said that we're past the 23rd of May. That's okay. She said, don't worry about it. She, if I recall correctly, she said as regards the 29th of June, she's flexible with that. If
Yep.
we get there and we don't have it, that's okay with her too.
Yep.
The thing that was of concern to me is she didn't put an ultimate limit on it, but that's another issue.
Well, we lose our money by the,
I know, then she needs to put a date in terms of what I would do if I were handling it.
Right.
But I would like to see the job done personally. And I'm not speaking for the rest of the board. I know we talked last time about a vapor barrier, whether or not we wanted to do that. I kind of had the feeling that it was positive. And then I guess my question is the 29,800 still a valid number for Carrie? The $29,800 still he's not asked for any kind of increase?
Not in writing, no.
Not in writing, and he
So
did,
then
they
we
only
should-
mentioned.
So why
that-
are we even
So
discussing
why
that?
don't we issue a contract for the
We're
original?
gonna
amount
issue a contract for what we have in
For
front
what
of
we
us.
have in front of
And if
us.
he would like to, there is a project work change order.
Yeah,
in
it's a
it,
copy
and
in the,
any costs over $100 beyond what was allowed, he has to fill out and get it approved, and we'd have to say yes or no, we're not gonna allow for that change.
Okay.
So I'll have to adjust it from there.
I mean,
And it's up to you whether or not you wanna take the time to get a bid for him laying the vapor barrier at the time, before you sign the contract. Or
No,
sign.
I would, no.
Contract, I think is.
Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of thoughts on that, but you've had your hand up for a while.
Thank you.
I
Let's not-
mean, but that's okay.
Let's not sweat it. Yes, I've offered last time to call call my good buddy Caleb down at WW. Got a discount of about $97, $98 in the vapor barrier. That will take care of that floor. If we're worried about labor to run.
Is the
vapor,
discount 90 or is the total cost 90?
Total cost is 98, I believe. If we're worried about just laying a. piece
That's
of
the
plastic-
material.
That's the
Yeah,
material,
I
not the
can-
labor, just the material, which is what I said I would do. It's like nothing, you just lay out the vapor barrier, if you wanna drip it up against the edges. I don't see, I'd be hard pressed to think Kerry would make a big deal of that, because as far as I know, it doesn't take much effort to pay as you're building the wall outside to some way of fix or go over the top of a wall that you're doing around the addition with the plastic, but 6 mil plastic for a little less than $100. I think we're over sweating a detail that's pretty small.
Sounds it.
Yeah, so I think that's a separate deal, that's all.
Who's
Yeah.
worried? I'm not
So
worried
you know
about
what we need from what I relayed, and then I'm just going to hopefully wait and see what.
So
comes
June,
of-
so, and you need to submit this by June 29th?
No, you don't have to, it's like Stan said, that's the deadline in the paperwork.
In the contract,
But
not
she
in the
is-
contract, the administrative manual. It's the date of 6/29 that everything should have been sent in. And she's said, thanks to
Right.
Leanne's inquiry and the notification, she's flexible.
Okay,
And we,
okay.
and we have a proposed contract, it was emailed this week to each of us, from Stan.
Yeah, all I need to do is remove the work change order that was included because we were assuming that we were gonna deviate from the 29.8. We'll just make it 29.8. The only remaining question is what kind of disbursement schedule does Carrie have a need for, if any?
All right, I spoke to Kerry about that, and he's willing, after the project is over, that's when he's getting paid. There's no advance, there's no advance of this
Okay.
project. And as far as I am aware, once the project is finished and inspected on our end, the town can vote to release our end of the funding. And when the grant company releases their end, we will deposit it and pay them the rest of it.
Do
Okay.
you want to go first?
It's directly in relation to that, but, there are 4 things that need to be done during the time that Carrie's working. One is there's an accounting report form for reimbursement. All costs have to be recorded. Project invoices, we must provide copies of all supporting invoices with corresponding payments listed on the accounting form.
So is the committee taking care of this?
No,
I have no idea what we're doing.
Leanne is the charge of this, is
Right,
the
right.
lead on
Leanne
this.
is taking charge.
I'm-
You're doing it. You're handling, who's handling the?
No,
paperwork?
That's the
don't
key.
have
That's a
any
good question.
authority here. I would say that
No, I
the
mean,
select board is responsible for making sure that these things get done.
That's my opinion.
See now, I thought that the vendor's responsibility would be to keep track of all of his invoices and materials and such as the project.
You need
is
to
going.
read the
We will-
administrative
no,
manual.
We won't get it unless it should be spelled
It
out.
clearly states they are not releasing any money until the entire project is complete. The vendor and the town have completely verified all of the expenses, et cetera. So there is no Brookline will release 15,000 and the
Not-
grant will release 15,000. They need to see that the 30,000 or whatever the cost is, 29.8, is in fact paid. They only reimburse if you provide them canceled checks for the
Exactly.
amount you're billing for. So it's not a 50-50. They pay half and we pay half. Somebody's gonna pay the whole thing up front. And then they will pay for it with those receipts
So
being
they need, they
provided.
need the receipts, so,
Exactly.
so this is gonna, I should.
Would this come from the church's foundation fund, the meeting houses? Fund,
It
fund
can come
line.
from the church's fund. They
Right,
have
it
enough
would
money.
be against that fund, yes.
Well,
And
we
then
don't have $30,000 in
we have
that fund.
15.
Yeah,
We have the other 50.
right. Okay, but, and to Stan's point, just to reiterate what we're responsible for is provide copies, front and back of all canceled checks. And they also have to be recorded in that accounting report form.
Yes,
And finally, they want photographs documenting all completed work.
You're
So
right.
those are the four things, and I don't see how my involvement in any of that is really applicable when you're talking about
Well,
getting.
what about
copies
the
of checks
photographs?
and-
Who's doing the photographs?
Well, we could figure that out if we need
Yeah,
the photographs.
No, I mean,
any one of us,
the
you could,
accounting
I
stuff
could.
should be handled, I mean, the canceled checks and all of that, that's well within treasurer responsibilities.
Yeah. But whoever puts the report together has got to have that information available.
And are
And
you
in
the
a manner-
grant, are you the grant person?
Well, I'm the highway grant person, but I volunteered and I'm the contract person, so I volunteered to be whatever help I can.
Leanne, you are technically the grant administrator when we did this
Mhm,
for the representing the project.
mhm.
And working in unison with us side by side,
Sure.
but it's under her. From what I, from.
So that's
from
why
when
I'm
we set it
asking,
up.
who is going to be the, the key grant administrator?
We have,
And I mean, an obvious, yeah, I would think it would be you, Lee.
well, the project, the grantee name is the town of Brookline. And the grantee signature is Dorothy Maggio
But
on
who's-
this, but
who's
as far as
the-
anything I can do, I will do. I just,
No, but I just want to like get it clear so that we don't think that, oh, so-and-so is doing this, but they don't think that they don't, I'm just trying to be clear on
Right.
who's doing what.
Yes,
Um,
that's
I
important. It's a very important concept.
Right. Leanne, it's your responsibility to make sure that we're hitting those deadlines. And that we had papers in, that's what I mean as far as being the administrator for this.
Mhm.
So we hit those deadlines and make sure that the paperwork is submitted to the
to the state,
to the state, thank you.
right, and I'm doing that.
I don't see
Right.
that as a problem because it's virtually done. The only thing we don't know, what we're waiting for the two things, the vapor
contract.
barrier and any change due to insurance. But if that's not an issue with Kerry in terms of the cost of the insurance, he doesn't want to build it into the agreement. He should either let us know now or let it ride at 29.80. We can always do a work order change later. I mean, I want to make this work like everyone else around the table does. The only, and I can have done tomorrow, the contract. The question is, and so it'll be well within the 29th if people want to go around and sign it. If we vote to sign it tonight, if it's on the agenda, it can be approved that way.
It is.
Okay, so the meeting that deadline to put everybody at ease can be very readily done.
Just so long as the vapor barrier isn't in that.
It won't be, it won't be,
Okay.
it won't be, based on what you've said.
Mhm,
Yeah,
We're just gonna go with the original foundation
mhm,
plan,
mhm.
and if the vendor needs to adjust something and we can afford it, or we can, but it's one thing, but as far as the insurance, we have not gotten anything, it's just in passing.
So
It was mentioned.
We make a motion, now can we make a motion now to approve to have an approval of the contract as discussed with no additional changes, no vapor barrier, just, I'm trying to think of how to get this done.
well, a contract created per the original bid
Per
to
the
the
original
original
bid.
RFP,
Right.
period.
We've approved it,
Yep.
so all we have to do, so you
Sign
can
it.
sign
Just
it,
sign it.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, and we don't all have to sign it, just Dot signs, it.
That's God's job.
Okay,
And then you will get that to me, and then I will submit that to Caitlin.
So
That's
you're
the contract.
taking responsibility for doing that.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been doing all along. except
Okay, getting it from
Yeah.
here to there.
Okay,
from here.
so in response to
Fine.
Samara's question, who's taking responsibility from here on out?
Well, that depends on whether, who's going to do the follow through with filling out the accounting report form. for reimbursement, where all of those things have to be recorded. You're gonna have to chase down Carrie or make it very clear to Carrie that he needs to be able to keep track of those things. He also needs to know to keep all invoices and turn in all invoices.
So are you
So are they
looking to
gonna
do that, or
send
do you
me
want
the
somebody
date?
else to do
You
it?
should tell him and we should tell him. He should get it from two sources.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because
Okay.
you're essentially like the project coordinator.
That's what she
here.
is.
And then as far as the accounting help, obviously, all the payments will come from the Treasury Department. So likely Judy Akamporis and Judy or Melissa would be the contact just for getting the paperwork. I can clue Judy in to make sure if they have not seen a list of the requirements from the foundation, then that should definitely go to the treasurer so they know how to start, collecting the data and make sure they keep it.
Do they have I wonder if they even have a copy of the administrative manual that outlines the specifics
probably-
required.
I don't know.
I will
but
email it to them tomorrow. That's okay with you? Or should I email
No,
it to you?
Go ahead, and I was gonna, since I have the background, I was gonna volunteer to be the liaison.
I'm all for
Because that was always my pet peeve, because I never knew what the select board was doing until after, like,
Let's move
what
on.
are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Not you
All right.
guys.
I almost think from an accounting standpoint, you were really close to this. I mean, you're the chair, you're orchestrating it and all. I'm wondering if I were in your shoes, there should be a space between for someone else to be doing the final
Well-
report data work.
Somebody should, probably you want to have the final report handled by accountants, but then submitted to Leanne to review it. And ultimately then decide who's sending it. You have the relationship with Caitlin, with the foundation.
Yeah.
So even if we have the accounting people doing the legwork to pull it together, then it should go to Leanne for a review and be sent in. That's just administrative.
I'm gonna make a recommendation that we contact the vendor, Kerry Bourne, and ask him to come in for a summary meeting about this contract to get it signed. And if Leanne, if you're available, Samara, if you're available, and we need one other select board member, I don't know if it wants to be, okay.
I don't mind. I mean,
Stan, that would be great.
I've written it up.
So, if we can get Kerry, Leanne, Samara, and Stan in one room in the next couple of days, then paperwork can be signed, discussed about
Yeah,
the,
because he has to sign it too.
yes, he does. And there's a place for a witness over town clerk or whatever.
right.
Okay, I understand that, but I need to just get one point of clarification here.
Go ahead.
The accounting report form is going to be completed by,
It will be, at least call it drafted, all the data will be
Okay.
in the treasurer's domain.
okay,
So they'll have to make sure that they have provided all the necessary copies of the canceled checks and everything.
okay. I don't mind filling out the accounting report form.
The report form, but you need somebody
You
else.
need to get me the invoices, you need to get
Well,
me
what
the
happens-
canceled
That's
checks.
fine.
What happens is Kerry can submit those bills to you if you want, or submit the bills to the office. And then it comes to the select board under accounts payable. We review it on a regular meeting.
It's
and
gonna
we-
have to come here anyway to get, it should probably be, the invoices should be. Never mind, go ahead, Steve.
The only question I have, the only other remaining line that needs to be completed, and I think I sense how you want me to fill it in. And that is, how are the disbursements going to be made? And in light of what you read, and I concur with you completely, if I understand this correctly, will be one disbursement at the completion of the project. So there is no interim invoices or anything,
No progress billing.
correct?
No progress billing, but are we talking then about, so Kerry is laying it all out ahead of time?
That's why I brought it up in the
That's-
start,
that's
because
what-
it's,
that's what it says.
that's what it's gonna mean.
So what Carrie will have to keep is very careful documentation
he
of
spent.
everything he spent. And which most vendors put, they outline on their invoice. You know, how, and he'll need to break out materials from labor anyway, because he won't want to pay self-employment tax on materials.
Right,
Or
so
he-
he's not going to be monthly billing the town for reimbursements. It's
No.
one shot.
Right, so we're not gonna even dip into that 15 grand that's the town's to help him along through the process. to
No.
Cover up the.
Correct.
And if he doesn't submit the invoices, he doesn't get paid for them.
Correct.
If he
doesn't get
doesn't
paid
submit
for
his
them
time,
until-
he doesn't get
So the
paid.
project is done, he's not gonna get paid.
Well, he's not gonna get paid till the end anyway.
Right.
So he
but-
needs to, it's just like if you were a contractor working for a private party,
There you go.
you know,
Building a house.
Yeah.
in a house, building a house or,
Maybe,
Yeah, no, having been a mortgage officer and written a policy for a bank to practice in a construction process,
yeah.
there are many ways that those persons could be handled. But in this case, it sounds like it's overly simple. It's just no money. The question I have as a concern for another citizen is he prepared? Does he really understand that
That's what
whatever
we're
those
gonna have to talk
expenses
about.
are gonna be totaling whatever the total cost is, and he's bearing that for a month or 2 or 3, whatever?
Well, but I don't expect that the job will take longer than 2 weeks.
Really?
I don't think it'll.
Okay,
No, it's-
well, piece of cake.
It's gonna be one of those things, before he'll be done, before, I mean, the state's gonna have to take a little while to pay us, but I'm sure that they'll be fairly quick and.
And presumably.
2 weeks to do the whole project, that's
I don't
like.
think it'll-
No, 2 weeks to pay. Once the state is happy about it, they'll pay, and 2 weeks to get the job done. So it was a month to get his money.
That's a guesstimate for what he's
Good
gonna
going.
plow into it and do it and
Yeah.
move on. Now, we'll find out from him specifically, because we don't have it in writing how long it's gonna take. But we.
That has to be done by
we should-
December 31st, 2024, that's the only date.
Right, that's the date for the state, yeah, but
All right,
once he starts, he should be able to finish it,
but rather quickly.
because he'll get paid, won't get paid, so.
All right.
So
that's
I
not-
should do the contract. I will do it in the first thing in the morning. I will mail it to everybody or email it to everybody.
What is wrong with this one that you sent us? Oh, this has the,
It has to be changed. He has to
Yeah.
pull the vapor barrier out of
pull
it.
that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then I didn't know how to fill in the payment process.
Okay,
And there's an addendum reference to the work change order, which now we're not including. So I will delete everything that's unnecessary, leave it as it was for the original time and bid and so forth.
my question is, don't you include in the contract package a blank work change order for a vendor if in fact they run into a situation that they can approach the board knowing that this is something they have to fill out?
Often what I've done is, in the original acceptance letter, I indicate, and there's ability to do a
Yes,
work change, so there's a work change order. Here, because of the way this has come together, there was no original cover letter regarding a work change order. What I can do is instead of referring to it as a necessary part in the introduction in part 1 or 2, paragraph 1 or 2, article 1 or 2 of the contract, just reference that it is available should it be necessary.
Okay,
So it's simply handle it that way.
all
So
right,
he's comfortable, everybody's comfortable, everybody's job is easier.
all right, so what we'll do right now is you'll do the new contract, I'll contact Kerry and see if we can set up a time for Kerry, Leanne, Samara and Stan to meet and get the contract signed and understand what the protocol is for this project, so we can move along quickly.
Great,
All right.
Super,
fabulous.
thank you, Leah, that's great.
All right, we'll try to go through this.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
I've got the gift certificate that I was gonna give to the town for I don't know how you wanna do it, with the town party or for the meeting house. Who do I give it to you or?
you know, if you give it to me, I'll put it in a safe place where we keep other things at the meeting house and.
I knew there was one
remain
of
there until we're
I'm
ready
gonna
to
change the cover because it indicates another entity that I donated money for, and I'm giving it to you instead of them. So,
Can I bring up a non-sec, it's related to their party? And we
No,
were here.
Can we talk?
Agenda. Okay, Jen.
Okay,
All right.
We'll be here till 9. We'll be here at 10:30.
yeah.
Right, and you got an agenda to 9, what,
Okay,
9:15,
Yeah.
that closest to 10.
Yeah, I don't, it's
You got it.
not on the agenda, I'll call you.
okay.
I should have asked you before the meeting started.
Review and approve draft minutes. We have a regular select board meeting minutes. I have on the agenda that it was June 5th, 2023, that the meeting was. It was actually the 7th, so that's a typo that I had.
Yeah.
I seem to do that all the time. All right, looking at the minutes from the select board meeting from June 7. Anybody have any changes on page 1 of 5? No.
Nope.
Anybody have any changes on page 2 of 5? No.
I don't know who SG is in number 3 under old business.
It's you.
Oh,
It's you.
oh, wait, payment lesson?
Noga.
Okay, all right, all right.
You say, yeah.
Anything else on page 2 of 5 except for the initial? Any changes on page 3 of 5?
Yes, but there were things that I sent to Vanessa, and I don't know if I kept a copy to read, but Vanessa is aware of them. She's corrected me on 1 or 2.
Oh, you talked about that before we started.
There was a comment made on my part about Jeff Nugent needing a meeting date and time. And I somehow, I don't know if you want to read what I sent to.
Yes. But that's actually, so that's reports. and
Wait a minute,
updates.
here we go.
We're on page 3 of 5. I'm not sure where.
Yes, okay, so I think where it would go is actually,
E1. What I had sent to Vanessa, under the highway grants and contracts, with SNOGA, the second line under 1, WRC has requested a meeting. Individual meetings will be scheduled. And I believe what I sent to Vanessa was an A and a B. Jeff, which I commented on at the meeting. Jeff Nugent has requested a meeting with Brookline highway officials. That was 1. And the second one, Chris Campy has requested a meeting with Brookline about potential municipal grants due to the town size and economic characteristics. I didn't exactly say it that way, but I did mention that there was a meeting that requested by Chris Campany, and I don't think we actually ultimately set up a time or date, but those were 2 things that were mentioned.
so should I just replace, WRC has requested a meeting, individual meetings will be scheduled, with A and B? Or just to add them?
I have no preference, whatever it's convenient for you. But I believe, mention both names in my presentation, brief as it was. So however you want to handle it, there's nothing that I need to be satisfied with other than that there was those 2 people who asked for meetings and I referenced them.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
And then,
I made a comment regarding the capped price option. There seemed to be initially at the start of the meeting, an unknown as to which option we had. And I had said something to the effect that I believed it was the capped price option and that I would go home and check my computer to see if that in fact was it. And the next day I did email. Now, because we did vote subsequent to that to just go ahead and do the price cap, my recollection of that offer and that exchange, it actually becomes void because we've already voted for the price cap. It doesn't mention any need for me to confirm anything. Okay. And then D, there was contract foundation work, number 3, B3, regarding the meeting house. You had indicated that you were aware of the fact there were deadlines. But the deadlines were unknown as of the last meeting. So I spoke up and said I'd be willing to look at the agreement to see what they were.
Right.
And so that offer was made and it didn't appear in the minutes. So I just thought I'd add that, and Vanessa's free to put that wherever she feels it's appropriate. And then I do recall, I believe it is old business. I had indicated that I had contacted Kimberly Canarecci of DPS regarding interim loans during the last FEMA meeting, because she made it look like she was able to provide us with interim money until FEMA paid us. She was able to help us with RFPs to satisfy FEMA. And when I called her, she was not able to do any of that. And so I brought that up and advised at the last meeting that that was the case. And it was, again, not in a minute. So I just, wherever.
So looking at that, I went back and I looked at the recording, and so I think we should add that under B1.
Okay.
So it's just chronologically in that order.
Okay.
All right, any other items on page 4? Any items on page 5? Nope, hearing none. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from Wednesday, June 7th as amended. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Noga. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from June 7th as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much. The next item up here would be, and I hope I'm not being duplicitous with the city here. Yeah, but let's just quickly go over the April 5th minutes, which we back and forth. Any changes to the minutes on, oh, they're final. They're final minutes. We already approved these, I believe, in the minutes. So that, so we can actually strike this for the, we can strike that because it's already been done.
The only
Wednesday.
thing I am aware of regarding that was there was a concern about a flyer that you had read part of, Dot, that came out from the Department of Public Safety, I believe.
Right.
Right, right. And there was a requirement or request for a copy of that. I found it and I sent it
Yes, you
to,
did.
so I'm under the impression that the only change we're gonna see between the minutes we approved and the minutes most recently for that date that Vanessa sent out is that additional document. Is that correct?
The 2 attachments.
Yes, two
attachments?
attachments, which she include, which are right here.
Okay.
The hazard, state hazard mitigation and the current vacancies in Brookline. Those are the two other items.
Do you need to reapprove them, or it's okay because they?
Let's just, you know what, I make a motion to double approve the minutes from April 5th, 2023. May I have a second?
With changes made since,
With
Just the
changes made.
with
Second.
attachments.
With
Second.
attachments, seconded by Stan Noga. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of reapproving the minutes from April 5th, 2023 with attachments, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, next item, payroll warrants. I'd like to make a motion to approve payroll warrant number 2350 dated June 21st, 2023 in the amount of $1,734.59. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Mello. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the payroll warrant 2350 in the amount of $1,734.59 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'll pass this around.
Samara didn't vote.
You did not. Tomorrow we abstained you from the vote because you weren't here.
Pardon? Sorry. I didn't want to.
So we have 3 signatures.
That's fine. You know, yeah, okay.
I must say the next warrant for,
Oh, I shouldn't sign it. You abstained it. I'll just right here.
I already
looked.
I'll make a motion,
yes.
second it, and then we can discuss. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 2249 dated June 21st, 2023 in the amount presented at $14,200 $54.50. May I have a second?
I have a second, assuming
Second,
that we
Mr.
change the
Nova.
order, because it's 23.49, not 22.49.
$14,254.50, and it's
Dollar amount's correct, but the item, the number of
The
the
warrant
the
number.
warrant number is,
22.49.
should be 23.49. This is 23, year 23.
Okay, I will make 23.
It's probably a typo.
49.
I'm sure that's all it is.
All right,
Yeah.
we have a motion, stand seconded. Now we have a discussion. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. Is there anybody have a question? It's Allied Windows are in here for the balance due. The Alta 1 month rental and delivery is in here. The Coda and Coda contract and the Kerryborn bill for 11 storm windows, wood steps, moving scaffolding and hanging limbs for $1,210, and then the Rescue Inc. balance due of $1,327, and water testing. Does anybody have any questions before we put the motion, we vote? Everything was inspected, the windows were good.
I looked at the other issue that I hadn't noted before, and there is a change there that
Okay.
I have no question, I have no doubt that it was done.
Okay, all right, all those in favor of approving accounts payable 2349 in the amount of $14,254.50, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Passes around for your signature. Okay. While that's being signed, are there any questions about the end of year for 2022, 2023? This is the last quarter, the last, the fiscal year ends this month. I know there was a question about the grand list. Samara, you had brought up, I just wanted to remind.
No, it wasn't a question. I was just, is there an update on, has it been finalized yet?
It has not been finalized. I've not heard anything back from Helen, other than the email on May 18th that says the form that she had me send in and signed on
No,
May
I know.
22nd.
The reason why I asked, I mean,
We have to vote on
we have to
vote it.
approve, the town officers every year have to approve the municipal tax rate, which the treasurer cannot calculate without the grand list.
Right.
And if we don't have the grand list, there's a strong possibility that our tax bills won't go out on time.
That's what we're aware of. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, so we should, I
already put it on the agenda for July 5th.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that periodically, I mean, I'm in touch with, the other thing I should let you guys know with is, I've been working with Melissa in terms of, we had discussed concerns about whether things were in the right pew. And she sent me a batch of reports, of detailed reports through the last payroll warrant, not including this one. And I am going through those accounts one by one. It's going to take me a little while. And I can't do it this week because I have a grandson in tow. But I am going to check, because there are things like, for example, the legal publications were charged to highway projects, which in the logic, I understand the logic of doing it that way, but we have a
line item for legal.
We have a line item for legal notices. So following the protocol of past years, I'm
Thank you for
just
doing
going
all
to
that.
go through and look at that. So some things will change.
Right.
And one of the things, and balances don't carry over, so from Fund One. So I was curious to know how much is actually left, that will not be spent. highway fund has spent its money, but the town admin might have a small surplus, but I don't know that for a fact. And so I'm kind of starting that process. of
Thank you
looking
for
at
doing
that
that.
with Melissa.
You,
Okay.
and I'm not sure, June 21st and 23rd, a year ago today, I got an email from Putney about the Brookline taxes. I'm assuming that Melissa's on top of that thing. Twice a
Yeah,
year.
it should. I will ask her. She's,
Would you like this reminder? Because I already. have
no,
it.
I know what it is.
Okay.
They pay their taxes, we pay it back to them.
Okay.
What are the school systems in the state doing with this situation? Are they under any requirement to defer or wait and hold their breath until they get the tax money?
Yes,
So,
yes,
okay.
they all would not get it until 30 days after it's been received.
Okay,
But we've already paid the schools, we paid our share of
Last, we
money.
paid early there last
We paid our
Right.
share last
month, last.
Yeah.
right, but we're looking
And
down the road.
typically, down the road, the schools take out big loans every time this time of year.
Ah,
They
okay.
have they don't have
Anticipation
the
of
cash
taxes.
flow,
That's good
which
to
is
know.
gonna be our potential issue,
Mhm.
which we should be looking for. I'm gonna ask Melissa if she does if she can do cash flow projections. I don't know. I don't know if that's in her repertoire or not, but it's easy enough to do. So,
All right, we're gonna move on to new business, new policy. The first one is a right-of-way post-storm cleanup and mitigation plan. I emailed it out to everyone. The town of Brookline, Vermont has adopted this post-storm cleanup policy to ensure safe passage for all vehicles and towns, roads following significant weather conditions which may have caused a buildup of debris, water, ice, or snow to fall in or near traveled roads and culverts. While landowners are encouraged to clear away and keep wood that either falls on their property or is cut down by Green Mountain Power, it is the town's responsibility to maintain a safe right of way, which includes keeping ditches and culverts clear of materials which may cause additional erosion, ice buildup, and or flooding. When possible, residents will be notified that post-storm cleanup will be occurring within town lines. Anybody, now, there's no real policies or living documents. They can be changed and modified. They're just administrative guidelines for us to follow. So unless someone has any other changes, I'd like to just get us to adopt the policy.
So move.
All right, I got a
Second.
motion on the floor to accept this policy for a post-storm right of way. I can pass it on to Mr. Townsend to post it online. All those in favor of approving this policy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Hearing none, I will send to Guy this policy. Road. And this was, yeah, okay. Let's move on. New policy fundraising guidelines. Let me read this one out loud. Town of Brookline, Vermont fundraising policy, fundraising for programs, historic building enhancements, improvements, and or for community activities shall be approved by the select board at a regularly warned meeting. A brief written plan should be submitted to the chair of the select board at least 6 days before a scheduled meeting in order for it to be placed on the agenda for a vote. The fundraising plan shall be developed and approved by the appointed advisory committee at a warned committee meeting. The advisory committee shall identify the anticipated use of the funds raised. Are they to be placed in a dedicated fund or in a general fund for that committee or donated to a specific cause or scholarship? That's all. Currently, there are 2 advisory committees in Brookline, the Brookline Meeting House Committee and the Historic Round Schoolhouse Committee. The advisory committee may request reimbursements for its expenses incurred as long as the expenditures are approved and the invoices and receipts are attached to the reimbursement form. The chair may request to keep a small amount of cash on hand for incidental expenses totaling not more than $25. Funds raised shall be turned in for a deposit to the town's treasurer as soon as possible, but no later than 48 hours after the event is over. A deposit slip indicating the sum total of cash and check shall be included with the chair of the committee retaining a copy for their record. Careful accounting of all funds is expected. Stan, you had some comments on here?
Yes, I did.
Changing words shall to may and things that.
Yeah, in line 2, after where it says and for community activities, most towns and legislative entities like ourselves tend to distinguish between shall, will, and may. I think the term using shall does not provide for the possibility that a select board might have a differing opinion about it. And therefore, rather than put the select board in a policy scenario where you have to approve it, I thought it would be better and fair to use the word may. Chances are, if it's valid and reasonable, why wouldn't the board? But shall is meaning it will, and may means
Right,
it's
well,
discussion.
I guess when I use the word shall, indicating that I understand that part of the definition, that the fundraising program will need to be approved before it starts or is begun, but I don't care if you change the word shall to may or anybody.
Well, I think it's an important word in that one, you're saying the board,
Maybe
the
it's
select
true.
board will approve it, as opposed to leaving it to discussion and common sense and
Maybe.
whatever. And where it may
Are
be.
you saying
Okay, all right, I understand that. I understand that's the new one. Okay,
Okay.
okay. I was saying that the fundraising event has to be approved before it happens. That's why I use the word shall, but you're saying I understand the
And
nuance.
that's what wants to do it.
Yeah, I have another interpretation of the use of the term may be approved, which is that it's not required.
Yeah. If that means
that's
it's not,
problematic too?
So I would say something like so shall or must or shall be reviewed. Must be reviewed.
Fundraising for programs, historic buildings, enhancements.
improvements and or for community activities shall be,
Must be
submitted for approval. Must be submitted for approval.
That sounds good. And that's
Okay.
more representative of the intent, I suspect,
Must be submitted for approval.
Okay, at select board meeting, okay? And then Stan, you highlighted fundraising plan.
Yeah, I thought that the what was being approved is the fundraising plan. It shall be developed and approved by the appointed advisory committee at a warned meeting. And I forget what the other word was that was there.
The other word was, I had
Oh, fundraising.
the fundraising plan, it said the fundraising plan.
Oh, shall be, and I
Oh,
think I
shall be.
deleted shall be. Shall be, no, there's something else. I don't know why I put that there.
I have the original. You
Fundraising.
wanted to see it.
Fundraising plan shall be developed and approved. And should be, no, I don't think I changed it. I don't know why I put yellow there.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The one other thing that I noted that's a technicality, but it's, the advisory committee shall identify the anticipated use of the funds raised. Et cetera. That could be problematic. Well, that doesn't impact it because we're not talking about donations. Never mind. Because donations can be specified by the donor.
Right,
Yeah,
Correct.
sorry.
but
Never mind.
yeah. So the advisory committee, yeah. All right, anything, I mean, I'll bring this, since there was an edit to this one, I will retype it and present it at the next meeting. Yes, sir.
The next to last paragraph, it says a deposit slip, and I'm trying to put myself in Leanne's place or anyone else who's keeping track of the money.
No,
Why, it's implying that they're gonna deposit it and then provide somebody with
Not
a
a bank,
deposit slip.
Oh.
So I'm just saying, so what I'm saying is an accounting.
or a deposit record.
And
Less
it's
work.
indicating the sum total of cash and checks, that's what that meant.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good, I like that, yep.
And that's my only other comment.
Alright, so other than, okay, let's go back up to the first paragraph, you had here, the fundraising plan shall identify the anticipated use and purpose of the funds raised. So, and type fund, dedicated or general for that committee so I know that was an awkward set of sentences,
It's hard to include all that.
I wanted the plan to indicate that this money is being raised for general use at some other point, or this money is being raised to purchase a window, or to purchase a storm door, or to purchase a framed print or something like that. So, Any suggestion on that wording?
I think the one I sent you, I had put, let me see the prior one so I can be. It says the advisory committee shall identify the anticipated use of the funds raised. And what I tried to shorten the sentence and make it hopefully simple by saying that the fundraising plan shall identify the anticipated use and purpose of the funds raised and type fund. And then I've got in parentheses, dedicated or general, close parentheses, period.
Oh,
So that we don't have to double state
okay.
that and
Yeah.
leave out the latter part of that sentence, just to simplify it.
Okay. All right, other than those few changes, which I will retype and present at the next meeting, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
So I think it's the fourth line where you're talking about, a brief written plan should be submitted to the chair of the select board. You say at least 6 days,
6 days because
yeah, calendar or a business, my favorite.
I just calendar days.
Question.
I would say calendar days because if a meeting is on a Wednesday, I do, if I try to get the agenda out on Sunday night, I need to work on it on Saturday, so I would need the information by Friday, the latest. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's what I did. So 6 calendar days, 6 calendar days. All right.
And then at the very end, where it talks about turning over the funds within.
48 hours
48
after the
hours.
event is over, right?
So just the comment that logistically that can sometimes be difficult. 2 people need to meet up. Anyway, you can probably address it on an as needed basis. Or you could provide for an alternate.
Well, if we had a fundraising event on a Friday and there was a weekend in between and no one was available, which should be brought in by Monday, but if we had a fundraising event, you know, I figured the 48 hours would cover a weekend. Pass.
I'm flexible.
You want to add 72 hours? 72, fine, let's do that.
That covers holidays.
Okay.
That's a
counts for
good idea.
holidays.
That's a good.
All right, so I will, this one pass and this one I'm gonna review and put on the agenda.
So where do these policies go? Will they be given to Guy?
They'll be in the guy, I'll upload them.
Okay,
I'll see that there.
thank you.
Okay. And there are other policies. I know Guy's got a new search and retrieval policy that he put out. And of course, you know, we have our purchase policies and such.
Yeah, I know.
And social media policy. And we're gonna talk, okay, next item. Okay, new policy discussion. Policy was not developed, developing a municipal government email policy. All right, so here is, okay, a couple of concerns about using emails. As you know, we are using Gmail accounts, which are considered to be personal accounts. And the question is, with the Open Meetings Act and the availability for anyone to request seeing email conversations that are done in the form of business, we really do need to get off of the private emails and go with an email provider, which is either .gov or something along those lines. I did find, however, that the state of Vermont, a high court decided that a lawsuit heading to the state Vermont Supreme Court pushes officials to disclose private emails that discuss government business. So there is some protocol about by a Judge Mello. I don't know if it was a relative of yours.
No,
Yes.
God help it.
That actually, the Gmail accounts being private are
God help
not
you.
prone to being subpoenaed, believe it or not, at this
Well-
point. That's what this court case was about, and this is February 8th, 2017, and it was the Attorney General versus a particular
Well, that would
plaintiff.
be true then for all of the town emails because they use Comcast.
Correct.
They're not using a dedicated government email server.
So, make a long story short,
Thank you.
we have a little bit of a problem. I want to make sure that everybody understands when we're talking about emails and the Open Meetings Law review for all elected and appointed members, that sometimes we take for granted what we can and cannot do outside of the open meeting law. Those of you who may have gone to the municipal access portal for VLTC, they have a frequently asked questions list, and I sent it all to you. It's some 20 odd pages. I'd like Guy to put it on the website. I don't think I can put a link on it because it's a verified portal document. So I don't think if I put the website link for the page where this was all written, in which people would be able to read it.
You
But I
could-
think
You could put a PDF of this.
I'm gonna give them the PDF
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
So I think that everybody needs to review over and skim through this. This also covers using emails. And one of the things that we have to be careful of is hitting reply all. You should not reply all. If you want to reply to the original poster, Stan's very good at that, saying, I got the article, or I got this, or thank you for type.
I'm also good at hitting a reply all the time.
Reply, you can reply all. Like, if you want to do that, you
Says
reply
reply,
just
it's
the
reply
original,
all.
don't hit
Yeah.
reply
No,
all,
but-
because that starts conversations.
You're saying on Gmail, there's a spot that says reply all, I see reply, is that the same thing?
You get, no, reply single, there's gonna be, you have to sometimes click on the drop down arrow.
I never do that.
You check your emails before you send it.
Usually when I
You're
reply,
good.
I'll punch in everybody's name. I
Yeah.
look along, everybody's name that I want to do.
Right, you don't use reply all, is what you're
No.
saying.
Yeah, I unfortunately do.
Yes.
And it's the three dots over to the far right. If you
Yeah. I
click
think
on
it's-
that, reply all comes up there.
I never use it.
So,
I'm very computer illiterate, thank you.
I think it will help too, because there are times when, there are just so many emails coming, you don't need to see them all.
right, and
I've set up folders for those.
so reply all, it makes it just a long chain of everybody seeing that. That's one thing. Group emails, they don't necessarily violate the law, but you have to be careful. You have to make sure, like, for instance, at one point, Mark was involved in one of the reply alls. He shouldn't have been involved in that correspondence. So you have to be careful of what it is. If you have a question and it's something that
You don't want me to
if
know.
you don't want what you're saying in the email
But other people don't do a reply all.
to be sent to Julie Laborga to put on the whatever, then don't send it. If you have a question, if you find it might be sensitive, call me up.
Why is it
You know,
such a big,
because.
no, I
Yeah.
understand. Why is it such a big deal that you can't just type it like I do if I want to send something to Leanne, Dan? So I'm going, no, I just do it individually. I don't understand why
It's a
people are even
convenience.
using the
It's
reply all.
convenience.
Is it just being lazy? Excuse it,
depends.
because critique. I don't understand it. Well,
Just
why,
remember, I used to review emails as part of my last job.
you told me that, you were.
So, yeah, I was the anti-money laundering officer. Yeah, so, and every conference I went to, just remember, one bad email can make you wildly infamous.
Okay.
Exactly. So
All
just be more considerate about what you're saying. Don't just, if you have an opinion on something that went out, keep it to yourself, talk to someone about it. If you reply or send it, I can't handle,
Okay.
that kind of stuff because it gets,
Okay.
it's a little stressful. So,
Stressful.
yeah, so try to be careful with that. There's also a concern even about using Google Documents. So when and if we can change to a different system for our emails and websites, we may be able to deal with that. So I will go on to
Is anyone
say,
looking into that now?
yes, that's on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
probably.
All right, so review and post on the website the open meeting law frequently asked questions. All right, web development and email assignment help was offered by Marjorie Ray. So Marjorie Ray is has done the DV Fiber email website and email server. She also just did Guilford, and she has emailed me, and I spoke with her on the telephone She has come in to help Guy with our system. Our system is going to be completely without support in November of 2023. It's an antiquated system that Guy has been working with, and he agrees that more than one person should be able to access it, and that we might need to find a different source. So Marjorie sent to me, and it didn't come to me in time to get on the agenda, but I will get it out to everyone. She's made a proposal, a website redesign proposal that I will share, and I will put it on the agenda for the next meeting. She has an invoice amount. I'm not going to announce it because there may, if we have to go out to bid on it, but it is below, it is in the incidental range of our purchase policy, with a town resident discount being offered off of the normal fee. So I will share that with you. Guy Tanzo is also going to be talking with Mr. Neal about, from Three Wired Guys, about suggestions about server domains and so on and so forth. So that will be on the next agenda. Okay, to possibly to look at changing our emails from Gmail and Comcast to
A dedicated government.
right. And when somebody gets elected or appointed, they would be assigned an email, and we would have a file system so that everybody can access the same file system. And when someone resigns, then the next person coming into that position can have access to those emails and that same file system. And it would have saved us time had we had that before with the BRIC grant, which David Jones had authorized when I was off the board. I didn't realize that there was a grant, and I just let it, well, I don't know what this is. And had the information been there and I inherited the information, it would have been more helpful. So hopefully that will be something that we can clarify. So discuss options for upgrading email providers and website support will be on the next agenda. Okay? And if you have any other advice, if anybody else wants to do research in between now and then, please don't hesitate to do so and bring it up next time. All right. I want to get through here. File clerk. Discuss, we talked about this at the last meeting a little bit, discussing a two-phase approach to document organization, whether eventually having to do some culling and possibly scanning some of our documents and then storing stuff down in the basement. But the first part is pretty much like just going through and organizing it alphabetically by topic. And so we've got, we mentioned there were.
And it's just organizing your files, right?
Whose files? Yeah. So Stan took some time and he provided, you found some information about these file clerk duties and responsibilities, pretty in depth, since it's not an administrative assistant kind of position. We're looking for someone just to.
I guess what I thought Stan, it was a lot of work, and I thought they were very detailed.
Yeah,
And
I was just looking for ideas, basically.
What we can do is a lot simpler.
Yeah,
Just write up a description of the specific work that needs to be accomplished, in the time frame it needs to be accomplished, and the rate of pay, and whether or not they're going to be hours. If it's I'm assuming it's flexible hours, and then hire somebody before any more time elapses.
So we talked about two different people at this time that were interested in it. Christine probably has more of the digitaling abilities of scanning and storing and archiving. But Sherry was interested in just doing the cleaning up and organizing part. So where do we go from here? Because I'm sort of like stuck between a hard place telling the people, hold on. We've been talking about this for a while.
in going through, I have an idea based on our last discussion of the narrow scope, frankly, that it would appear to be. And then I'm saying, we're right now 9 days away from July 1st.
Right.
And we allotted $4,800 for an administrative assistant. And when I'm looking at the clerk job, I suspect, given the narrowness of it, that just filing, alphabetizing, whatever, probably will be lucky if she spends 3 hours a week. So my thought was, what does the board need as in the bigger picture for assistance? Wouldn't it be nice if some of the people, if we had someone who could make the phone calls that we would like named, document it, and put some of this stuff, not just in the file cabinet, but on a computer here, so that anybody can walk in, and if there's a meeting going on, without having to come in, turn on that computer, log into the directory, print out the letter or the document or review it, and be done with it and gone, and have the least influence or effect on anybody else. So I came in here ambivalent tonight, not knowing whether to stay with, and I knew that some of these responsibilities that were showing up here might be in a larger organization, part of a filing clerk's duties, but certainly not for what we have. And I guess the question is, do we maintain in a minimal scope of the filing clerk, or is this a time that we might want to consider doing something bigger and better? So for those two ends of the spectrum is why I put together these 3 pages, because it looked at it from a broader scope, not encouraging any other option, but to get a feel what my colleagues were thinking might be or is what we're looking for now. So that's where I'm coming from on this. It's not made to indicate this person should be doing all these things, but on the other hand, if it were a jumping off point, the budget's coming in.
Yeah, right. I mean, it occurred to me too, that we don't have to worry about how much money is in this year's budget, because this year is effectively done.
Yeah.
So we're really looking at next year's budget. And
Administrative assistant, I don't see is the same as a file clerk right now.
I don't either, but it could be
it could
taking
be
some
part
of
the
the
job. But I mean, the first project, the first project is cleaning up the old files. And that would be, I think you want those done in a fixed amount of time. You don't want that to be like, oh my God, this is such a mess. It's going to take me months to do this. You want to, let's get it done. And then after that, it might be a good trial period to see if somebody is interested in staying on and being an administrative assistant, which would include maintaining
One of the
files.
people I talked to would be interested in a longer.
No one is interested in
At
staying
this
on.
point, no, because.
Okay, then I'd say
Part-time here and there, a couple
flip
hours.
the coin.
Well, I was looking at it as 2 people. You got one person to do alphabetical filing, get it organized, everything's there, is this spot is organized. The second person comes in and, okay, simple job. Sherry's very good at organizing and looking through and asking questions. And then if Christina's still interested, she knows how to do the scanning and saving to a drive and would be able to use the equipment. She's done that in a legal firm before, and she's also working at the library. But, so I was thinking.
So is it alphabetized by, I mean, it's a tiered system, transportation, and then within that, you can go by A, B, C, D, or do you want to be?
They organize it will be better than
Than
what
what
it
it
is
is.
now.
No ideal preference.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would
Because
say.
the top drawer's got stuff in it and the bottom drawer, and they're all mixed. It's like I got highway stuff in every drawer in there, and it's not organized, it's just piles. It's stacked this way. Not this way, they're just laying on each other.
Okay. So I get the point. I guess what I'm about ready to say is if you would like,
Hire somebody.
well, that's the final gun, definitely. And I don't mean a gun, it's a final point or accomplishment, but we can either just simply pick a line or 2 off of this or just verbally say what we're looking for. And I'll convert it into a written format and submit it for the next meeting, or just send it out to you to review for the next meeting. In the meantime, hire whoever we want to hire. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
So it doesn't get
Yeah.
drawn out and delayed any more than it already has.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page. I think that the urgency is now. If we keep hemming and hawing about figuring out the description, we'll never hire anybody.
Right, okay,
Oh my
okay,
God.
okay. All right.
It's, so hire somebody.
There's a question about salary. I've had different people say $25. I said, no, that's more than our clerk thing. $20, it's more than our treasurer, yeah. And so we looked at 17. Stan, you found $13 is an appropriate rate.
$13 is way too low right now.
Probably is, probably.
I would
I
say
just
so.
left it there because I
Yeah.
didn't.
I would say $17 to $19.
Well, you might just, for the part A, the simple non-computerized stuff, it doesn't require as much skill, 17.
Okay,
I'm off
And
of
then
that.
something with, you're gonna be able to scan and put things on drives and organize it that way, 19.
I would say, yeah. Put it out there, and if people turn it down, then we'll have to go higher.
There you go. It's like
It's
McDonald's.
that simple.
Could I step in for just a minute? and say
Absolutely.
If I, went home and logged on remotely, okay with you guys?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you want me here for that,
Yeah,
the survey, the
yeah,
meeting
both of them,
house?
especially what I was gonna present at the end of the,
Oh,
at
yeah.
the end of,
Okay.
whatever,
That's
this is
fine.
new bus-
Yeah,
new
it's
business.
it's tough to juggle things around.
Oh,
and
no, I don't care, I just thought.
Go ahead,
maybe-
Leanne.
Okay.
We've
Right.
still got a few more to do here anyway. don't
So
we?
there are changes to this, or I can follow this?
Follow this.
Okay, and you want me not on the town, just on the town survey, but you wanted me.
I wanted to explain the ARPA in conjunction with the meeting house, and I wanted you to hear it.
And that's when,
That's gonna be at the end of the, end of the new business,
okay,
which would be HI, I guess, after the town of New
Within the
Fane.
next 10 minutes.
oh, within the next 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll wait for that.
Okay. All right, all right. All right, so, will the board concur with my actions on hiring, at $17 an hour and then approaching Sherry Green to do the initial filing to see if she'll come in and look it over? And, then also talk to Christine Chandler to see if she would do phase 2, which would include a change of rate, but it also include computerized scanning and calling as per the director.
Yeah.
All right, so you'll concur. All right, I will communicate, let you all know what's going on that. Thank you very much. We're
Yeah.
gonna move on to mowing next.
Now we're
Okay.
talking.
All right, we talked a while ago about getting the grass mowed, and we needed obviously an attachment for doing, and I've been in touch with 2 different companies. I contacted Alta to see if they had a mower to rent to us, like we've done before, a type of brush hog, not a tree eating mower. And Daniel was gonna get back to me. He said that he didn't have anything, he didn't think in the rental lot, but he would look at the purchase lot. I also contacted the vendor, John Jeffers from Northeast Attachment and Track in Pennsylvania, and spoke to them. They had talked with Mark earlier this year, back in April or May, and looked at a 48-inch Cyclone rotary mower, which I sent you all videos on. I also have the spec sheet that's here. I did find that I did find that the website had a current sale for this machine, and when I talked to the salesman, he said, let me call you back. And he says, yes, the manufacturers have a significant sale going on the piece of equipment, a couple $1,000s off. And he was going to email Mark, because he didn't have my address. So he was gonna email me too, but it didn't come.
I just got it tonight.
Yes, I spoke to him about 4:15 when I got back from Brattleboro. So what did he say the new price would be for the mower with the discount that the manufacturers have and that the dealer will honor?
So it said, please find the estimate details here. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions. We look forward to working with you. The estimate is $11,366.
Okay,
And
and that,
the exterior 48-inch Cyclone is $10,928. And comes with a mower attachment for excavator. Bids amount for JCB 110. Which, and the freight is $438. So that total, the 10,928 plus the shipping is $438. Comes to 11,366.
All right.
Okay. so
Originally,
then
it was 13,296, so there is almost $2,000 price reduction on it at this time.
That, Mark, I didn't hear everything, because brain dead. Mark, that's with the attachments, that's with the attachments of 110,
Yes,
okay,
yeah, that, it says here on the
sweet. Okay,
the
$2,000
quote
bucks.
estimate,
How did you find that?
cyclone rotary mower attachment for excavator includes mount for 110. It hoses, couplers and freight.
Did they, do you know if they switched mowers on you? Because it says on your purchasing a used mower attachment for not more than 13,000. Is it the same one that we were looking at originally, Mark?
It's new.
Says used mowing attachment.
Where? This is new.
New,
Purchasing a used mowing attachment for not more than 13,000.
Well, that was on the agenda, but then I'm saying this is for a new one.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I thought it was used. It's not used, it's new.
okay. I love it. Hard to fight about that.
Okay, so I know that there's a couple of questions about the finances, and one of the things that we were talking about was possibly using ARPA funds. But there's, only goes so far. And what if we don't have a machine to put it on? Why buy something that for a machine that we're gonna return in November if we're not gonna purchase, if we don't get the loan, and then we have to go out and have a town meeting and have the purchase of the excavator done in a different way versus the municipal loan program. And so right now we're up for discussion. It is July, grass is real high, but I don't mind if there's a delay on this for the next meeting, or what's the priority of this board? I don't want. Well, let's go around, we'll start with Bruce. Bruce?
I have a thing. We need to have that excavator stay here permanently, and that's what I'm gonna get into in a few minutes.
The mower we're talking about though.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the hydro dig. We are going on the maybe that we might not keep the hydro dig because we might have to go through the town. I will address that in my presentation. But I'm under the feeling right now, we should purchase a thing, get it on there, and we work out the angle. I can have the unit bought tomorrow,
Well, sure, we
but
got.
I haven't explained the details of it. I'm
But
talking about the hydro dig.
No, we're not
So-
talking, right, looking at the mower.
Well, that is what you said. Right?
Both. No, you're not, I don't know if you got, I don't know if
So
I sent the
Bruce-
letter to everybody or to you. But I think, well,
Stan, your turn.
I sat down and went over our ARPA money and I handed something to Dot and.
I took a copy of it.
Okay, and I think before, at this moment, we spend any other money, unless there's some other avenue of funding the heavy equipment that doesn't require use of an ARPA down payment.
I think that's part of what we want to address, right, Bruce?
Totally.
Yeah.
So, I'm open to ideas. I
Great.
don't have my mind closed to anything. It's
Right.
just that it needs to make sense. It needs to not have the people sitting around this table appear at any point in the future in this deal to have egg on our face or made an inappropriate
Won't happen.
judgment. And so I just would need an accounting of the ARPA money or whatever other source
Oh,
before I
without
make a
doubt.
decision. That's where I'm.
Okay. Okay, we can do that right this minute because it's in the minutes
Yes,
of April 5th. It said, I think we're at $115,000 net minus a mower deck, minus the possible, we didn't have a finalized number for the money that we were doing to increase the town clerk, I believe. It was in the minutes.
Let's, okay, so I
You
guess
see what I'm
what we're saying, let's, if it's
So
all
we're-
right with Samara and Stan and Bruce, let's temporarily table this to later in the meeting.
Okay,
The mower discussion, because we're going to have a discussion about the finance
Yes.
coming up in a moment,
yes,
okay?
sounds
So
great.
we're gonna table this to a later part of the meeting in a few minutes
Can
after.
even do it after my,
Yes.
my presentation.
Right. All right, the next item here, if we're moving on, the local emergency management plan, I made a mistake. I have to send it to Wyndham Regional for them to check for errors, and then I bring it to this town. Basically, it's the same report as before, it's just changing phone numbers and people who are on the select board, the local emergency plan. It's the same. It's the same one as, I put it probably in here. It's the same one that we've been doing, same template, yes. So this is the one that we had from last year, and it just involves, a couple of the edits on it.
I thought it was referencing the new Fane
Now,
hazard mitigation plan, which
that's
which
another-
we,
that's another
which
item.
we need to approve or not approve
That's
for
another-
them to proceed in their process.
Yeah, that's on here,
It is.
yes,
Okay.
that's a separate item,
Further down.
yes, it's further down.
Okay. I must
And
have-
number H, comments regarding the town of New Pain.
Very good, because you have websites.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. All right.
So now you know why I get lose sleep trying to do this. Sure, I get all the key. So the LEMP, the local emergency management plan will be for July 5th.
Okay.
Okay, that's right there. And that's basically just adding Paul and Samara and emails for those. So next, LEMP, request for proposal FEMA mitigation culvert work on Putney Mountain, finalize the site visit date and advertising dates for the short RFP.
Okay, I have it handy so I can type it in. And I made the wording shorter. I just put Brookline, Vermont, request for culvert bids. I'll read it to you, and then you can. The town of Brookline, Vermont is seeking sealed bids for 4 culvert replacements and related road repair remediation on Putney Mountain Road in Brookline, Vermont. A mandatory pre-bid meeting will be held on,
Mark, what's the date we want to have the pre-bid meeting on?
Was gonna go with the 28th or 29th at 8 AM.
28th or 29th, which one is better? Well, the 29th is when we are meeting with FEMA again, right? Oh, no.
No, that's the
they
7th,
pushed it back, didn't they?
July 7th or 6th.
So
July 6th.
So Wednesday or Thursday, the 28th or 29th, Mark? You're
Yeah.
saying to be,
Right.
which date? Pick one.
We'll go with the 29th.
29th, June 29th, 2023. Go ahead.
Okay, starting at the town hall at 8 AM. Contact highway supervisor. Mark Bills with your phone number. Is it still 802-258-1389?
That's correct.
Or emarkbills@gmail.com? Is
Correct.
it emarkbills@gmail.com without the Brookline, Vermont?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, bids must be received no later than 4 PM on Wednesday,
July 5th.
July 5th. That works. 2023, bids will be open at a regular board meeting at approximately 7 PM that evening.
Mhm.
Vendors are encouraged to attend via Zoom. Do you have a meeting?
I
on
did. I got the, I went on Zoom and I
Okay,
pre-Zoomed things.
so give me the meeting ID and I'll type it in.
All right, I'll get it to you then. Go ahead.
And the passcode. I need the meeting ID and the
I'm
passcode.
gonna give you the whole sheet.
Okay. Actually, it would be easier to email it, copy and paste it.
Okay, you keep reading, I'll find that.
Okay, the full request for proposal with project details can be downloaded and printed from the town's website, www.brooklinevermontvt.com. Thank you. Oh, you don't have this electronically, do you? Issue.
It's on a Word document at home. I mean, I can email it to you.
Yeah, email it to
All right,
me
give it
and I'll
back
pop
and
it in. Get dots email.
All right, I'll just
Here, I'll give it back to you. I'm not gonna type all of this. Thank you.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, you wouldn't have to, yeah, we just want the code.
Well, oh, no, yeah, give me
You
the
just want the
code.
meeting ID and the passcode, correct? I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
give me the meeting ID and the passcode. I'm sorry.
All right. That's why I gave you this.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, that's all you need is, you need this.
I know, I need that.
But I'll email it to you anyway because of the.
Yeah, because then I can, because then it'll have a link in it. Okay. Meeting ID. 872. Well, that's okay.
All right, I'll email-
Email it to me.
Yep.
That'll be faster. Okay, to submit an electronic bid, please contact Maggio. Do you want to just say email you? Maggio? It's got your phone number.
think
I want them, they need to call me to tell me that they are gonna do it electronically, so
Okay.
then I will confirm when it arrives and call them back, yes, I received it.
Okay.
Because otherwise, if it goes into a junk file.
Oh,
and the
right,
meeting comes
right.
in,
If they send it and
want
then it goes into Sam,
and then
got
I'll-
it. Please
verbal and
contact
written.
Maggio, select word chair, 802-365-7072. Sealed bids may be mailed to P.O. Box 403, Brookline, Vermont, 05345, marked clearly. Brookline culvert bids. Period there. The town of Brookline reserves the right to accept or reject any or all bids that are deemed to be in the best interest of the town. Insurance documentation must be included with the bid. That's it for the.
All right,
good
so
to me.
you type in the new material and you'll type in the meeting ID. If you get that to me early enough in the morning, I can get it in the newspaper, this in the newspaper for Saturday.
I
put it in
will finish,
Thursday.
yeah, I will finish this at home. If I just have to type in, if I just have to type in this much, I'll type it in and I'll send it to you
Mhm.
tonight. You'll
Okay.
get it tonight. Okay. So that's good. Do we need to look at the long?
The long one should just have the amended dates and such in it, and it will go to Guy. You'll send it to me.
Okay, can I ask you one question, though?
Sure.
The one thing that I looked at was in culvert 31. I crossed out new ditches need to be excavated and armored with ditch stone, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I'm taking over that part of the. job.
Okay, good. So that was right. I did cross it out.
Nice.
I just didn't want to delete it until you confirmed that I didn't just
No, I
have a
appreciate
brain
that,
blip
but
and.
That's gonna be part of my.
Perfect.
duties, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
Okay, so I just have to up the mandatory pre-bid meeting and all the other submission deadlines. I've got that and the Zoom access. Perfect.
thank you.
All right.
Okay. Got it.
And the dates for publication, again, can be Saturday, would be the first day it can go into the newspaper, which would be the 24th. And then they don't have a Monday, a Sunday or a Monday. They would also, then I can publish it on the 27th and 28th. I'm gonna do it 3 days, because it's FEMA. I'll do 3 runs of that ad, the short ad, and the site visit is gonna be on the 29th. So we're set.
Okay, good.
So it will be published on the 24th, 27th, 28th, site visit on the 29th. Bids are in by the 5th and awarded on the 5th of
Is the
July.
26th a holiday or something?
No,
No.
24th. Monday is no, they don't have a newspaper on Monday.
Oh, the
Reformers.
reformers
Okay,
changed
good.
that. Okay, yeah, you're
They
right.
don't have
I
Sunday
forgot.
on-
So you want me to put the publication date on this?
No.
What date do I put at the top?
There it is.
Anything?
Put at the top.
At the top of the printed one, should I put a date or should I omit that date? See that date? Should that go away? Just this date?
We don't need to, when you send this to me, I might, you can do it in a Word document or what?
Yeah.
Because I might actually cut that out because there's another when I fill out the newspaper thing, there's another place for that information, so.
Oh, but
Ad.
this is not the ad. The ad just looks like dot, this one isn't the ad, this is the long one.
Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Guy and put it up as a PDF.
Okay, do you want me to send it to you?
Yes, please, if you don't
Okay.
mind, and
I
I know
don't
that we
mind
get,
at all. Do you want me to CC Guy or do you want to look at it first?
send it to me, and then I'll get it to Guy. if you don't
Okay,
mind.
I don't mind.
Check.
Okay. Good, that's done.
Okay. All right, everybody, okay with the RFP going in the paper for those days and that, okay.
And the, bid opening is at what time?
July 5th, 7 o'clock,
7 o'clock.
correct. Okay, last but not least, under here, comments regarding the town of Newfane's mitigation plan. It's 77 pages. This is what the BRIC grant will develop for the town of Brookline. And this just goes over, it's a FEMA approved pending adoption date. They asked adjacent towns to review over the plan. And I just thought, oh, this tells us how we're gonna have to be doing our own. So I just thought that was good. I saw nothing in here that I would actually amend. Bruce, do you have anything you want to add to the mitigation plan?
No.
If I write back to them commenting, Stan?
No, I read it. There appears to be nothing that has any adverse or positive impact upon us. It's all within their own boundaries and things that they need to do, that some of which we don't need to do, so.
Right, they have a bigger,
It was done well, and, yeah, I'm all for
all right. Samara?
I have no comments.
Okay, so, if you're okay with this, I make a motion that we, approve the, I don't even think I can make a motion.
it. Just need to,
All those in favor of allowing me to tell Newfane that we have discussed it at this evening's meeting and that we find it quite acceptable.
second,
Okay, seconded by Stan. Any other discussion?
Mm.
Okay, so I'll do the Newfane mitigation.
Do you have to vote? Do you have to vote?
I don't think you really have to vote.
No.
We're not
No,
approving
is-
the plan. We're just saying that we reviewed it and we
You
doesn't.
wrote down motion
They
discussion
were just,
full.
I think they're required to have
It's
adjacent
appropriate.
towns review their
Appropriate.
plan. So
statutory.
that if there was anything we thought was heinously
Right,
awful
right.
for Brookline.
That's right. You noted it. Then I said if appropriate, and I don't think, we're not asking them to change anything. If we were asking them to change something, I think we would have to vote on that. All right, so now we're gonna go into unfinished business.
Oh, wait, don't we have to do the ARPA thing before?
Oh,
you-
next one is ARPA, okay. Bruce? Look, I'm ahead of time. No, I'm not.
You're doing, you did that on purpose.
Okay.
You told Leanne 10 minutes. I'm sure this is not gonna be 10 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna do the best I can, but I
Get
can't
your
promise.
15 minutes of thing.
I'm gonna beg your indulgence on this. This is a lot of 4 o'clock and I don't go to sleep thinking about it, but I think about it waking up a lot. And thank you, Leanne, for staying. Appreciate it. I'm gonna try and see if I can sneak in when the board's not paying attention a little bit on the BNH survey. And
Yeah,
what
you
I'm
can do
talking
that.
about.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna be real sneaky. I wanna start by making a couple of statements and I'm gonna get right into it. This statement right here is the last paragraph or so of the governor's State of the State address in January. My fellow Vermonters, these are big challenges, but we find ourselves at a rare moment in history with one-time money that those who came before us could only dream of, to tackle issues we had faced for decades. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the only thing that could stand in its way is us. So let's not squander it. This year, we can shorten the distance between reality and opportunity, give every community the chance to catch up, to act on a vision for their future, and help them see it through, to attract new people and new jobs, put more kids in their schools, restore their downtowns, reclaim their character, and renew their identity, rebuild our buildings. I can go on and on. In this moment, we have a chance to transform what is into what can be, and the only way we can do it is together. Now, I want to say one thing before I start. Back when we were having a little bit of a tough time and these two people out here were having some serious issues and I stepped in to try to get the hydro dig and Stan, you did an amazing job convincing the state to even consider moving consider the fact that they'd already closed the timeline for applying for that municipal loan. And you did a great job of that. But saying that, I want to I'm going to refer to what you just said a few minutes ago. And I hope I'm not taking you out of context. Is that we got to consider everything that we're doing because this is our once in a lifetime opportunity. And right now, if we assuming we buy the mower deck or the hydro dig, we're roughly around $100,000 if I have my numbers right. I think I do, but I'm going by the minutes and what I hear. Okay, saying that, what I'm seeing is, I think we need to reconsider what we're doing in terms of how we're financing the hydro dig. I want to make it really clear how I feel. I don't want that thing going away. That's why I was kind of stumbling and moving around when you were talking about the mower deck. Because to me, that baby stays here. We do everything we can. We made a commitment to that man over there in September of 21 to get him equipment. And this is the first major step. And he's already kicking tail out there. So I won't get into that. But I also like one more quote. The high quality you bring to your work isn't an accident. You make this happen with your intention for excellence and your commitment to finding the most intelligent direction. And that's what this exercise is all about. So like I said, we have about $100,000. Do we really want to put $60,000 down on a loan? I don't think so, is the way I think it. And this is the reason. First of all, we can finance the unit. I can have a loan tomorrow with Alta at 5.88%. Oh, before I go any further, I just want to really be clear that I've had this discussion a little bit with Samara. I've had this discussion about 3 times with Melissa. As far as FEMA payment backs, I've also done that with Melissa, and I also got influx of how quick you get your money back from FEMA from the chair of Westminster. She's a friend of mine, takes care of my cats. Her name's Katrina Hamilton. She lives at Heidi's place, and she's the chair of Westminster. And they have gotten all of the $1 million back that they had from that were owed to them from FEMA, minus about 100 grand. That's when I talked to her about it 5-2 before I went on vacation. So where am I going with this? Right now, we're spending $400. What we owe Alta is $1,170 if we buy the unit at $450 a week to rent. If we were to buy the unit from Alta, it would be $360 a month in interest. In saying that, this is a big deal because if it's going to take 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years to get our money back, then my argument's garbage. But everybody is telling me if we do this right, and Melissa's really good at this, she got all our money back from Brookline. And she said there's about a 3-month window. So when you're looking at, if let's say tomorrow we bought the unit for the 172.5, and we were paying $360 a month in interest, multiply that times 3 or 4, we're coming up with what, 4, 8, 12, 1,500. We're paying $450 a week to rent it. You got a question?
Yes. Borrowing for the purchase of tools, equipments, and materials necessary for the construction, maintenance, or repair of highways and bridges, as long as the term is 5 years or less, is allowed. But I believe that is talking about it's allowed by using the municipal equipment loan fund only.
I'll answer that. It says it's a little tricky there. And it says, when can the legislative body borrow money without voter approval? And you are correct. I did go into the statutes, and the first one says, purchase tools and please It may contract with government or private. Well, I'm sorry, I went past myself. The first one says purchase tools, equipment, and materials necessary for construction, maintenance, or repairs of highways and bridges, and to incur indebtedness from the municipal equipment loan fund and 29 VSA 6001 for these purchases. Okay, maybe. So the only thing that's keeping us, if that's accurate, the only thing that's keeping us from doing this approach is having a special town meeting.
Right.
I see we do, if that's the case, I say we go forward and do the special town meeting, and I'll tell you why. Because you all were at the town meeting that we had, and we saw the acclamation we got from the people. I think it was Gary LaVorgan made the comment, I think it was about the FEMA, said, well, what else are you gonna expect them to do with the money? So I guess what I'm driving at with that argument or that discussion is that the town is totally in favor of that man having the equipment that he needs. And this is the best deal, because if we're only spending $360 a month for a short period of time, and then we buy the unit. Now, here's the problem. This is really, really important. Once we spend that $60,000, we don't get it back. Where it goes into the loan. And what I mean by that is the FEMA money that comes back has got to go into the road fund. It doesn't reimburse the ARPA money. So you're down to whatever it is, $30,000 or whatever. But if you don't do it that way, and if you don't use the $60,000, you retain your capital, you've gotten your loan. When the FEMA money comes in, you pay it as much as the select board is comfortable with paying the loan off. Because we've also have discussed in the past that the summer services contracts is going to go way down because Mark's going to have equipment. So we would have that to pick up any slack in terms of payments, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm thinking, and I talked to Bobby about it, called him up, and I said, we're going to see. I'm going to propose it to the select board, see what they think. And we got into it a little further. And I said, well, what's it take to get this loan with you folks? And he said, not a hell of a lot. In light that he thinks that we've already done a credit app before because we've rented a couple of times from him. And he said he could have this turned over to Sweet within a week. We would own it. So let's assume we buy it. Okay, now we're at 172.5 plus no down payment. Plus now we're paying $360 a month in interest. 3 or 4 months down the road, we get done, do the paperwork accordingly. And I have all the confidence in the world. Melissa, she says it's snap if you just do the right thing. We get our money
She's
back.
talking about what? Borrowing? Oh,
I'm talking about FEMA money coming back. So once the FEMA money comes back, then we can pay off as much as we want on the loan that we just took for the hydro dig. But remember, we're only spending $360 a month until that happens. Right now, we're paying $450 a week rent for the unit. So this is important. And why is it important? Because to let go of that $60,000 is not wise, in my opinion. We need to hold on to our capital for a number of.
Where did you get $450 from? A week? It's
That's
$6,500 a week.
Do I have my numbers wrong? It's 11.
It's $6,500 a month. 70% of that is $4,500 a month, which is a pliable purchase.
Wasn't 1170 that we would owe them bottom line if we bought it?
Oh, I'm only, because I'm only worked with the rental of it, I'm just saying right now,
Yeah.
we're paying $6,500.
11.7, it comes out of the $6,500 per month times 6, which is $39,000.
Yes,
And then the 11.7 they keep as the lease amount.
that's.
And
Correct.
the difference, 23.7, as
They
I
would
understand it,
spread.
is what they're gonna credit toward the sale
Correct.
price.
Right,
Correct. So,
all right, okay.
okay. So why?
I'm listening.
Why am I going through all this? Because we need to keep $100,000. And Not for Susie's Little Penis. Susie's Little Penis is pretty much done. It's run on its own, always had. But that building over there, that fine lady over there in the chair, needs as much money as we can give her. For all the reasons we know, and I can go in it for the next 10 or 15 minutes, but I don't think I have to. We've already talked about it in the past. We're looking at close to $100,000 a check. I don't care if we're talking about $18,000 for the mold, and 4 years ago, I talked to Mo Mom and he quite in great length, and he thought $20,000 to $25,000 to the sanctuary. Back then, we got $10,000 to the steeple. It goes on and on and on. It goes to $100,000 really quick. But here's the deal. We can go the other way and struggle along with the meeting house. I don't think that's what the town wants. The one reason when you asked me to join the select board back in March of 2014, I always thought before that, I never thought that somebody would ask me to be on the select board. I was kind of surprised. But I said, every time I voted, this isn't an ego trip over the course of 30 years. I thought well in excess of 99% of the time, and I can point to when we voted for the bridge over there, that I was in lockstep with how the town thought they wanted. Well, I think the survey proves it. And that survey makes a lot of points. Strongly agree. These people want to use this building. The only thing that really fried my butt, and I'm going to get right to it, is I think the person is extremely wrong, is I think that the residents of Brookline are happy living in a bedroom town. They're happy driving by and knowing that old church is still there and would notice if it was gone. We are not a hotbed of activity, nor do I think that most of us want to be. I think that whoever that was, I'm glad he did it. Because I think he's
Well, that's
completely,
one person's opinion.
I know that,
The building
But-
is built for worship, that they're saying.
Okay,
that-
right.
Right.
but he's zeroing in, why, just let it be the way it is, and so on. What I'm driving at is we need to increase our community, right? We had the wonderful sale on the plants. I don't know how much we turned on that, but I thought it was a pretty damn good turnout. We now have 11 musicians coming. Leanne's doing another famous job trying to get that. You got 11 musicians coming on the 22nd of July. I think it's obvious how much this town wants that building done. And I think everything in terms of money is in priority. And we know, and you can disagree with me, they want the roads fixed first. They want to be able to get to work. They want to be able to have mobility. But second, it's not Susie's Little Penis, it's that church. And they would like to see it used. And that's a whole huge another discussion, but we need the cash to do it. Leanne said to me yesterday, I hope I'm not misquoting it, it will take about another 10 years to get this down. I could curse now, but it wouldn't make anybody really happy. Well, bull, and you know what the other word is. If we have $100,000 in that account, I asked you that question too, Leanne. If we had $100,000 in that account, or 60, 70, makes a big difference now, doesn't it? It really does. Okay. Last thing here. You all people know Vivek Murphy, he's the Surgeon General.
Say again?
Vivek Murphy, he's the Surgeon General of the United States. I saw a interview with him on 5/2, and it was at 1:27 in the hour on Morning Joe and MSNBC. And he said, one out of two people experience loneliness. We can help each other and rebuild our social infrastructure, increase relationships. People are ashamed about their loneliness, helping others to serve others. He made a strong point, especially in the digital age, of increasing community involvement. Now, when I was at the town meeting, I was quite surprised. I noticed a lot of people that I hadn't seen before. And the very next day, I came into the town office and I asked for the list of the people from Golly. I didn't bring them, I got written home. I came up with 17 names that I didn't know.
Been a lot of turnover in the last 3 years.
Yep, and I think we need to start considering what we're doing with this $100,000. And you say the word, I'm not asking you, say the word, and I'll call up freaking Bobby tomorrow, and I'll have that loan in the loan application in the mail, we can review it. I'm not saying we do it, I'm just saying I could. Okay, and of course, we got this. Of course, people take notes and wanna question what I said. I'm good with that. But back to this thing, and I guess I'm coming to the end. Amazing, huh?
It is, because I got you 15 minutes and nine.
But when I saw this, what can the legislative body borrow money without voter approval? I really dug into it. Oh, Newfane doesn't have that problem. Jay Wilson gets his grants, he finances with Caterpillar,
They put in X number of dollars every year for new equipment.
okay,
They budget every year.
but do they approve every vote on the equipment? No,
They did do
don't
town
think
meeting.
so. But anyway,
There's gotta
We're
be a
not
way
going-
they're handling that. It would be interesting to know how, because
We did.
long
It's-
before
it was
we-
a town
we
meeting
went the route.
report.
before we went the route we went,
uh-huh,
we ascertained that the only way we could proceed would be with this municipal heavy equipment grant through the treasurer's office. Guy looked into it, we looked into it.
The only
We
way.
confirmed the several different ways you could purchase something. And I mean, I'm sitting here saying I spent a lot of the last month wasting my time.
Hmm.
But this comes up out of the blue,
you
and I
did.
don't know about it. Why wasn't this brought up before we started?
Mhm.
I mean,
Okay,
it's
understand your feeling.
it's totally puzzling, and I would want to see the numbers of this project that you got.
Mhm.
Because I've got the numbers here from the one we had talked about and
Uh-huh.
okayed going forward on. Before I
I'm not asking.
decide one way or another.
Got it. Okay, I'm pretty much done.
But Newfane did have a question on their town.
Oh,
We
yeah.
even contacted VLCT&S, the attorneys.
Okay, so assuming it's all correct,
But without a town
they
meeting.
will have a town meeting and approve the purchase of the hydrant. Why, Doc? Why are you feeling a
I
little?
would rather wait 2 weeks to
Okay.
find out if we get this loan for 2%.
And we will, because I looked,
You missed
there's
the
a whole
point.
nother thing.
We gotta give $60,000,
How much do you have to commit?
60 grand.
60 grand?
Yeah,
Well, you gotta pay 25% of the sale price as a down payment. So 75% brings it down to 143, something, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the amount we'd need to finance.
wasn't that?
145.2 maybe, I think is the number.
No, we had to put up 60 grand.
No. It's 25%. That's my calculator. It's here someplace. It's only
That's
25%.
43 grand.
Yeah, it's 43,000. There's no, it's 43,000.
The question I would have is like, all right, let me ask you this question. You know how you borrowed from ARPA money to pay for the difference in Mark's salary?
Yeah,
Well, why can't you call the down payment of borrowing from the ARPA money and then pay it back? When we get
can you
the,
call the down?
I don't even know if that's possible in our.
no, I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah,
They do,
All right, I can answer that.
because they-
Once a year, in April, we need to submit to the state the committed ARPA monies for that year.
Mhm.
And so if things are committed and then uncommitted and then committed, it's okay.
Playing with
As
fire.
long as well, when we get to that report on April 15th, that information is put up into the portal and then then it's sold, it's done, it's finished.
Yeah.
So, yes.
our down
So
payment's
we-
only
so
43.
the
one.
other thing too, the other question
Still.
I have too is, I think your concern is, we're owed a pile of FEMA money, right?
Yes.
100 and some odd, I don't know the exact.
93
numbers.
currently,
93.
roughly 93.
Okay, so that all has to come back into the highway fund. But doesn't the select board have the option to, you can, I know there are ways, I don't remember the specifics, but I know that the select board can reallocate money between funds.
Also, I wanted to point out that one of the things that we learned when we met with Wyndham Reed, AOT here in April, remember Melissa, over here? We determined that approximately the damage from the storm in March was approximately $14,000. And we talked at that time about taking the $20,000 surplus state budget stabilization and using that. So that money is available, the $20,000
That's true.
budget stabilization, and it is now a complete account. We've gone through all 4 quarters of tax collection. So there's that money there. There's also money in the school rental account. And I think that would, we,
Rather than touching our phone,
well, and including it.
a little bit.
I think the ARPA is,
I guess-
that's what ARPA is for.
I guess,
But I'm
yeah,
saying
I guess I
use-
made my point. I don't want to see ARPA get cleaned out and not being able to.
Yeah.
When you got 100,000 over here, 120,000 over here, and then you can only put it into the road fund, what happens to everything else?
We also put into the bank, into our budget for next year, a total of $70,000, $40,000 and $30,000. One for the materials and such to cover the excess of the FEMA work that has to be done and the materials and the services, contract services. So that's 70,000. Hopefully we'll be able to reduce what we put in there because the man's doing the work himself. We're not having to subcontract it out. So there is some money there in that budget stabilization, $20,000. There is some ARPA money, at least $20,000. If we need $43,000.
We might be
damn
able to
close.
work it, if that's the way you want to go.
If we can get that, if what Stan, I think going with that loan is the safest way. I personally, I'm not ready to run another town meeting at this time.
It's only special
because
time,
you know
they
what?
worked on that.
Remember when in 2017, when we were gung ho and we're gonna get that hydro dig and it didn't pan out?
Oh, just a second here. Yeah,
This discussion isn't on the agenda.
yeah.
And I like to be out of here by 10
Yeah,
o'clock.
he's right.
I think,
Let's table that part.
yeah, I think you've expressed sufficiently that the big concern is, not utilizing ARPA money when there are so many other things that need it.
That's the way I put it.
And so if there's a way to juggle things around and use it, but, then we should
That'd
look
be
at
okay.
those things.
But you need to do the different planning. You can't just talk about it.
Well, I'm not the treasurer. I'm not privy to all the little ins and outs that.
Well,
folks
we
know
should,
from.
no, we should.
I don't know
be
the
getting
financials
over-
that
How
well.
often do you guys get financial reports?
We
Once a
won't get
month.
them tomorrow.
End of the month.
Do we guys get?
I would, now look, I would suggest, I would like to see this select board make a commitment.
I would like to see numbers in a format that we can look at in your proposal. So that I know what I can compare apples with
But
apples.
we know what we're spending anyway, 72.5. I'm just looking for us just to make the commitment to buy the thing and work
We've
out.
already done that. But you're saying
Okay.
that's not good enough. There's
No.
another way that's better.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, then why are we dumping the idea that we've spent them over a month and almost 2 months?
Hey, you're getting.
Okay,
I just
listen.
got. Jesus Christ. man, what's-
Excuse me, wait a minute. The only thing that this board is committed to was a 6-month rental.
That's true.
We've made an application for a loan. We hope it
That's
comes through, and if that comes through, I will ask this board to possibly commit or not commit to the purchase. At this time, the only commitment was for the rental.
That's true.
It's the only thing that we got.
That's true. Now, where are we gonna go with the mower? If that's gonna come up, the man needs a mower, so now we're gonna like, well, maybe we'll
I
have
would
one in
wait-
August.
I would think, at this time, I would like to table it to the next meeting to see if, do you think the loan committee was going to come back something sooner than later? What
I
was
went
that?
on the internet yesterday and looked at every meeting they've had to approve their loans. They're always held the third full week of the end of the quarter. So it would be this month, today, that would be their meeting day. And it looks like within a week or two, they advised the applicants whether or not they got. I then went on to the prior meetings that were further back because they haven't produced minutes for the last 3 meetings. And what they do is they say, okay, who wants a loan? They list the 2 towns. They don't talk about, at least in their minutes, any of the criteria or qualifications, and they just approve them.
So we might know by the fifth.
I would suspect we would. We probably know in a week.
The other thing, Doc,
So
you
we're
know,
automatic, yes, excuse me.
if we're going to need a mower, right? We
Yep,
need a mower now to do any
Yep.
mowing.
That's why I asked about
and other things.
Alta and.
And whether or not we own a machine, own a big excavator thingy, whatever it's called,
Hydrogen.
hybrid, whatever. Anyway, whatever that is, we need a mower, right? We're gonna need a mower whether we rent it or whether we buy it,
That's right.
right?
Why would you wanna own the part that, and
Because
not
we're
own the
always-
machine you're gonna do it?
We're always gonna need the mower, even if we rent that same machine next year,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
That way we have a mower, we never have to rent a
Can I
mower.
interject just a little thing? Because
I mean,
JCB, I mean, Alta does not have the mower. Last year they don't have that kind of mower, and Mark can speak to that.
I talked to him.
About last year and what we used, and it wasn't really very good. It was kind of
It
clumsy.
was
come on. I know, I mean, maybe it's putting the cart before the horse, but couldn't we always use the mower?
Yeah, I believe we could, because these mowers are designed for all makes, all models.
And
The
it's-
only thing you
Is the
need
attachment.
is the right grabbing attachment, which bolts on. So it is a resaleable item. We decided that we weren't gonna get that machine again.
I just hate to see it put off again.
It's on sale right now.
It's
I agree.
on sale. It's on sale. Please, it's my shopping mentality.
I believe there's quite a few towns around us using the same exact machine now that would maybe have interest.
You know, there's another thing that we, at town meeting, we sat there and we promised people they were gonna get money back on this, that, and the other thing. And it looks like we're talking about taking the money that's coming back from FEMA and using it in a way that we had not promised at the town meeting. So I've got a concern about that. Do you lose your credibility in the process of handling this? We gotta look at the big picture.
How can you,
No,
that
no,
was
no,
the,
no.
was the 30 and the 40,000 in additional line items that was earmarked for this year. And that's supposed to cover our 10% costs of getting money. So there's, that's a concern.
I would suggest,
Wasn't at the meetings.
given
Make
the
a motion.
analysis. Well, I'm not gonna make a motion to buy the hydrogen because nobody's into it. I think it warrants further discussion with the board. Any way, shape, or form you wanna do it.
That's on the agenda, is the hydrogen, the mower's on the agenda.
That's right, and I'll make a motion to accept that we buy the to accept that without again, I go on my glasses. I don't know where it is.
Buy the mower.
Buy the mower.
make-
I'm making a motion, so we purchase the new mower attachment for the whatever price that you have there and the use at, what's that?
You gotta break your motion.
Well, I don't know what you have. You got it.
It was 10,000,
How am I supposed to do
it's
something?
$11,366 all in.
Yes, that's the number.
I would say
Yeah,
Right.
$11,366.
$1,366. I can make a motion that we spend the money and we can take it out of the ARPA money for purchasing that mower attachment for right now, for the use of the hydrogen.
We can get our roads mowed.
And other, you should see what you can do with that thing. There's all kinds of strange shit.
All right, that's
Oh,
the discussion. That's the discussion. We have a motion on the floor to purchase using ARPA funds in the amount of $11,366. One new Atera 48-inch Cyclone rotary mower for the excavator, including mounts and freight. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded from Samara. Further discussion? I can-
discuss it a lot.
I can contact the sales rep and get them to, oh, maybe it's in my email. I don't know. He emailed it to Mark. He was supposed to email it to me. Oh, you just forwarded it over. All right, so we have a motion. Any other discussion? We have a motion in a second to purchase using ARPA funds, the mowering attachment. Any other discussion? Hearing none. I'll do a roll call vote. For those in favor, Bruce,
Aye.
Stan,
No.
Samara,
Aye.
and I. All right, when Paul is not here, so the motion passes to purchase the mower for the mower attachment for the hydro dig at $11,366. Anything else? Motion passes.
No, I get it.
All right, we're gonna move on. Next item. All right, you wanna, well, Lean is here. Is there anything else about the survey you wanted to?
Other than I liked it a lot, I thought it was a good exercise. I think, so now you said something to me, and your concern was the amount of people that responded to it.
We have such a low response rates on all of these all the time.
We were talking with other towns that have done these types of surveys. Say if you can get over 5%.
Oh,
You're
really?
doing incredibly well. Yeah.
So we did better.
did much better. than-
Okay, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I thought it might.
Was there a question at the committee, to detract some personal information and post this on, is this on the website now?
Yeah, I
On the
think so.
website,
Website.
not the updated one though.
And I posted on Facebook, except for the comments at the end. I didn't put the comments at the end on Facebook.
But you got beautiful
So
questions
anything else
about.
we need to do for the website? This is good.
Well, I just did Facebook, so if you
I
wanna-
don't know if it's on the town website. This
I
was
thought that-
emailed to me, I believe.
thought you could find that on the website, on the town
But
website.
we amended it because there was comments that weren't included, so I'm saying, so this is the final copy. I should ask Mr. Tanta to replace what's up there with this updated.
Yeah,
one.
and that has the comments on it. At the end,
Three,
the ones that Bruce read, the one,
possible dog training site, the option of the question I was, yes, it has,
okay, it's got all the different comments that people made.
right.
Yeah, that's the only thing I didn't put on Facebook.
This list of people's names, do we need to?
Oh,
include
the,
that?
yeah. what was
No,
that?
I thought that was
That's-
public, not private information. We
Yeah.
didn't really ask them if
That's-
we could publish that.
Okay, that's what I'm asking
Yeah.
about as far as, all right, so I will repost the.
Yeah, I think the next big step is to. Now, what do we do with the information? You know,
Well,
it's one thing to gather it.
It's
and
right
it's
here.
another thing to
Leanne,
develop a plan.
It's right here.
It was nice to see the positive support. What was disappointing is at the very end, when we basically said, or you organized it to say, okay, who wants to now join us and participate? That's
You
where the
know,
disappearance
For a
occurred.
little bit of a highlight, we did get 2 people and we still have to contact them. At the plant sale, how many people are interested in gathering together to talk about plants? We got 2 people, new people that I've never heard of before. They're interested, we got a town party happening here, we got all these people coming that haven't really had that experience before.
Great.
Talk about positive reinforcement,
Yeah.
try and use that
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
I think the town party is gonna be great, the music's gonna be great, and it's a start, and everything
Yeah.
seems to feed
That's a good point.
organically.
That's
That's
kind of
correct.
what I see is it's
Yeah.
feeding organically, and people are feeling as if they're helping do it. You know,
There you
helping
go.
make it
Community.
happen.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
very good, and hats off to all you guys for all you do. I
You're at home.
am just amazed, I sit in on these things and.
You were.
Thank you. Appreciate all that
Thank
you
you for
do.
staying.
Okay.
Appreciate
Say hi
it.
to David.
89% of the people want to use this for town meeting. I'm not gonna go down every one of them,
No,
but it was astounding to me. 89% community gatherings. This is what I was talking about before. So like Leanne said, we keep the ball rolling in that direction. We keep increasing the interest in the community and the building by offering them something in that building. So the more we fix it up, the more we can use it, the more interest we're gonna get. And the obvious things, the more dedicated money we're gonna get from the public, and which has been really excellent at this point. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that.
all right, well, thank you very much. I'm gonna move on now to unfinished
Probably a
business.
good
Number
idea.
9.
Thank you, Bruce.
Right now, the paving project for the 2023 contract with Basin Brothers has been broken down to 3 parts. I can summarize it fairly quickly. First part, FEMA was to remove the broken pavement and repave 19 by 80 foot section of Putney Mountain Road damaged in the storm of July of 2021. The bid, including the mobilization, is for $17,000. I make a motion that we approve the part of the bid that involves the FEMA repair of the broken pavement. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stan. Any discussion? They're ready to go on it. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the expenditure of $17,000 for the Putney Mountain remediation of pavement due to the storm, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number two, recycling area. I talked to them about it. They have no problem. It has no effect on any of the other prices. If it's with this board's approval, I make a motion to strike the recycle bin area paving and concrete dumpster pad totaling $28,000 from this bid. May I have a second?
You have it right over here, second.
Seconded by Bruce. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of authorizing me to strike the recycle bin area and concrete dumpster pad work totaling $28,000 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. I'm going to strike
I meant to say.
cross.
I didn't say
Not a
yes or
problem.
no.
Third part. Pothole repair and Grassy Brook Road. There is a bid for large mill repairs for 1,000 square feet for $9,000 and a bid for small mill repairs for 200 square feet for $4,200. The large and small mill repairs are minimum estimates. Speaking with the company, they said they would revise the project cost for pothole repairs if we submitted accurate measurements. I'm going to make a motion, and in the discussion, hopefully I'll be able to clarify a couple of things. A total of, including mobilization, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, $15,200 to cold plane and pave both large and small potholes on Grassy Brook Road. May I have a second?
Second.
Oops, go ahead.
Some
Seconded by
Dan.
Then we're gonna discuss it anyway.
Yeah, seconded by Stan, no, all right, and for discussion. Mark and I talked about this a couple of times. Mark has done some estimates on the size. Here's the deal. If we have a pothole the size of this table, which is be considered a large mill, and we measure this to be, what is this, 2.5 feet? Let's say 3 feet by 10 feet. We say it's 30 square feet, but actually when they have to mill it, they're gonna go from center line on the large ones to the end. So it's gonna be bigger than what we think. So what I am suggesting is that the day that they're working, after they're going to do the most professional job that they can, Mark has identified and may have to pull out some of the non-essential repairs. And after they finish repairing pothole A, we measure it and subtract it from the 1,000 square feet and subtract it from the 2, so that we do not go over budget. That this is what we pay. I don't want to go over, so that there may be some sections, some smaller potholes that are not going to get done. Mark, you want to add something in this discussion?
Yeah, I was planning to get out and measure before today's meeting. We got a closer idea of these priority pothole areas. And I recall the day we looked at the pothole repairs, his machine does 7.5 feet wide.
Right.
So there's areas of potholes that it would make sense to just mill right along and cover a lengthier area than just one pothole and another pothole and another pothole. Just easier, faster, more efficient. So the question I had was, knowing that they're gonna pay Putney Mountain for the FEMA repair, and we are gonna receive the FEMA money back. That basically leaves us with, do we have a full budget of paving left for this fiscal, or does that start over?
Yeah, we spent last year's fiscal,
Okay.
so this has to happen in July or later.
Yeah,
And it's
that
for
was
this-
my question, to see where we were at with
Yeah,
the budget.
and our paving budget
Yeah, I believe
45,000.
something like that.
Something like
We
that,
keep
I can't
bumping it.
recall.
Used to be 30.
So, then of course, the other question is how soon will they be here too?
They won't work too late in the season because they won't guarantee their work.
But I'm just saying, if they don't get here till after July 1, we will have
Whatever, million.
the extra
That quickly?
budgeted paving funding to do a little bit more.
Oh, you're,
You just want to.
I would rather sort of just stick with this
yeah.
because
Okay.
we're just so,
Yeah,
I rather not do magic.
yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I just wanted to know,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, if they're going to go and they have to amend their contract, because it's gonna be, instead of being $13,200, and they ended up saying, oh, it was $14,000 worth of work, that's something that we can take a contract remediation. It's a smaller amount, but I'm not gonna look at thousands and thousands going over and spending another $10,000 on the project.
Okay.
So, all right, we're still in discussion. Any other discussion? Okay, all right, so right now, the motion on the floor is to approve the coal plain and paving for a total of
Up to,
$15,200, which includes the mobilization of the equipment for the milling.
Didn't we just do that one?
we didn't finish it.
We
didn't finish it?
discussion,
Okay,
so
okay.
I'm just repeating the
I'm
motion.
sorry, yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. I will contact them and Stan, I will. I'll make I have to sign something, send it back to them, and then we make our own contract ready for the paving.
That's what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
So that's what this is in here. We'll follow up on this in the next couple of days. All right,
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
I'm gonna finish up real quickly. Animal control officer, I'm gonna ask someone to nominate me because you know what, if somebody gets bit by a dog, they're gonna call me anyway, so. I'll just put it on my hat for the next year.
You blame me if I nominate you.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not nominating. I
If we
never
find
done
someone
that,
else,
Joe.
if we nominate you and if we can recruit someone else to replace you. Would
Yeah, but
you,
you're not, go ahead.
I know.
You've been down this road.
Let's
How many
just
years
say,
now?
You know what, we're hoping that the Brattleboro Sheriff's Office is going to come up with a plan for centralized animal control in the future.
okay, then I'll nominate you.
All
Okay,
right,
good.
I'll accept the
Good picture of
nomination. Reluctantly. All those in favor of appointing Dot Maggi as animal control officer for the town of Brookline signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any discussion?
Mm.
Hearing none, all those in favor, so you said it already, I'm getting delirious. Okay, motion
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Julia Duke to the Historic Ground Schoolhouse Committee. She has accepted in absentia from personally with me.
Great.
Yeah, I have a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bruce. Any further discussion?
Keep on moving.
Hearing none,
forward.
all those in favor of appointing Julia Duke to the Historic Ground Schoolhouse Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next one,
You did the survey.
we're done. All right, quickly down to road supervisor, Mark, you want to give a quick summary?
Sure. Okay, so the excavator's working great, working on Putney Mountain, quite a bit. Preparing the FEMA repair ditches, digging out, readying it for the stone lining. And at the same time, I've also spent time on the opposite side of the road. And that's gonna, once the stone is set in place, that should bring us well in sight of our goal for state road segment program. Also installed new signs that were stolen. And in my travels up on Putney Mountain, I noticed that whoever's taking the signs also took signs from the wildlife sanctuary areas
For
up
God's
there,
sake.
they're in the woods. I mean, you can see them from the
Rural
road.
lives.
Post is there, the sign's gone, so. They're
So, you
working.
know, on Front Porch Forum, I put out a call for someone help us get our signs back, and they listed all the signs that have been stolen from New Thing.
I think it's.
It's a pandemic of sign stealing.
I know how to get money back to the fires.
Okay,
I purchased a small, hand seeder from WW to, whenever we excavate now, we're supposed to receive, the areas that were excavated, so I made a small purchase from WW. Just a real small, and it works great. Let me see, I placed an order of, signs under the budget that we have for the highway department. I've been using the graders, scrape up the roads that were in need. I used the rented excavator on Rear Road. Rear Road is one of the class 4s that we check on occasionally, and I was alerted this spring that there was a large tree across the road just up from the bridge. So I went over there to see if we could get the road back opened, and found that from this winter snowstorm, there was took 4 hours to get up through the cutting and removing winter damage, so that I can add to the winter snow damage.
hey, Mark,
Yes,
no, mentioned you get calls, I forgot he asked me.
I did
Calls
get
email.
calls.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Call. Turn in the 911 address for me, so.
But you could get that sign, that's what made me think.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
I made a note, and I'll get that coming as well, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
Call. And I guess that makes everything that I have written. I guess it's not the highway, but I also.
This meeting was recorded by Falls Area Community Television, located at 1 Hospital Court, Bellows Falls, Vermont. If you would like a copy of the meeting, our phone number is 802-463-1613, or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community TV, keeping government honest.